Chapter 1054. The old man was Gu Qingyang of the Ancient Heaven Sect. He was escorting the younger disciples of the Ancient Heaven Sect to Thunder Rolling Mountain. "Be careful, I can feel the killing intent." Suddenly, Gu Qingyang stopped in his tracks. His clear eyes focused on his ruddy face as he scanned his surroundings with his mind. Crackle! In the next instant, bolts of lightning rippled in the night sky. Then, bolts of lightning descended from the sky. The might of the thunder filled the air with a destructive aura. "Not good. Everyone be careful," Gu Qingyang shouted. Jian Santong, Yuanli, and all the other honorable realm powerhouses acted. Their auras surged as runes erupted to resist the lightning. Rumble, however, the lightning that covered the sky suddenly descended and razed a large area of the mountain to the ground. The ground cracked, and a few people in the Ancient Heaven Sect screamed as their bodies exploded under the lightning. Even more disciples of the Ancient Heaven Sect were covered in a purple-gold color as they absorbed the terrifying lightning into their bodies. Although some of the weaker ones were injured and vomited blood, it was not a big deal because they had all been tempered by the divine lightning. The terrifying lightning descended, but it only lasted for a moment. Then it disappeared. It came quickly and disappeared quickly. We're not far from Thunder Rolling Mountain, and it's getting more and more dangerous. Will the divine lightning mansion really appear at Thunder Rolling Mountain? Gu Qingyang's eyes focused as he said to the disciples of the Ancient Heaven Sect behind him, "Be on your guard. Everyone be careful." Early in the morning, the sky had just broken. There were a few scattered stars in the light blue sky. The light of dawn lifted the veil of night and spat out the brilliant morning glow, causing the wild land to flicker with luster. A green halo lingered around the mountains, and the air was filled with a thin veil of mist. Then, golden sunlight covered the land. Dongli Qingqing stood on the peak of the mountain. Her tall and graceful figure glowed in the morning glow. Her fairy-like face was carved with beautiful facial features. Her clear eyes glowed with a green light, but they didn't lose their nobility. She gave off a feeling of vitality. "Du Xiaoyao, stop right there. That's my spiritual medicine." Not far away, Du Xiaoqing and Du Xiaoyao were chasing each other. The little tiger was sitting cross-legged, not far away. Its dark eyes were a little dazed. After a long while, it revealed a silly smile. "Little tiger, what are you thinking about?" Du Xiaoqing was tired of chasing Du Xiaoyao, so she went to Little Tiger and asked curiously, "No, I'm not thinking about anything." The little tiger regained its senses and stood up immediately. A flicker of light flashed across its dark eyes, as if, "Hurry up and say it. You never lie." Du Xiaoqing curled her lips and saw the little tiger clearly at a glance. She had a small and delicate nose, a cherry-like mouth that was as thin as wings, and a smile that rippled on her delicate and flawless face. Her ethereal eyes revealed a hint of charm that was captivating, holy, and seductive. The little tiger hesitated. Its face blushed a little as it said to Du Xiaoqing, "I'm wondering if Miss Blue Fantasy's injuries have healed." "Little tiger, you like Miss Blue Fantasy?" Du Xiaoqing looked at Little Tiger and patted Little Tiger's shoulder happily. "Anyway, I'm supporting you. Do you need my help?" "Xiaoqing, I don't like Miss Blue Fantasy. I don't." Little Tiger hurriedly shook its head, its face blushing. "So Little Tiger likes Miss Blue Fantasy." Dongli Qingqing stepped forward and walked over with light steps. Her slender body was leaning forward, and her eyes were misty and watery. "Qingqing, I'd better go and see if third young master has come out of seclusion. He has been in the ancient desolate space for almost a month." Seeing Dongli Qingqing and Du Xiaoqing teasing each other, Little Tiger hurriedly retreated. "This Little Tiger, I didn't expect you to be so thin-skinned." Dongli Qingqing's lips curled into a smile. "Sister Qingqing, then do you like my brother? I feel that the way he looks at you is different." Du Xiaoqing pouted and asked Dongli Qingqing seriously, "Little girl, what are you talking about?" Dongli Qingqing glared at Du Xiaoqing, but a blush crept up her delicate face. Hee hee! Du Xiaoqing chuckled and continued to chase after Du Xiaoyao. Looking at Du Xiaoqing's back view, Dongli Qingqing stood there. Her body was like jade, and her every move was elegant. After a while, she pursed her lips and murmured, "Why should I implicate him? It's already fate that we can meet again." As her voice fell, a slight breeze blew over. Her long ponytail swayed gently in the wind, moving one's soul. In the misty space, the blue, desolate sky leopard's shadow coiled around Du Xiaofu's body. A terrifying and violent aura distorted the void. That violent aura caused Du Xiaofu's body to tremble. Fortunately, Du Xiaofu's physical body had been tempered to such an extent that it could already be considered abnormal. Under the impact of this violent and terrifying energy, under the extremely tragic and heart-wrenching pain, Du Xiaofu gritted his teeth and resisted in the end. At this moment, if one looked carefully, one could see that within Du Xiaofu's body, there were strands of black substance that occasionally seeped out. They were smaller than strands of hair and were difficult to detect. Those were the impurities within Du Xiaofu's body. Under the purple gold Xian balm and the many times of bone and marrow cleansing, as well as the refinement of the golden feather, the impurities within Du Xiaofu's body had long been expelled, making his body perfect. However, at this moment, under the half-domain level desolate sky leopard's bone and marrow cleansing, there were still strands of impurities that were expelled. In the end, they were destroyed by the violent energy and turned into nothingness. As time passed, the violent, desolate sky leopard's blood essence turned into pure Xian Qi that surged into the god's watchtower. It was absorbed by Du Xiaofu, causing his cultivation aura to continue to increase. This made Du Xiaofu rejoice. As expected of the half-domain level desolate sky leopard's blood essence, apart from the bone and marrow cleansing, he could also obtain many substantial benefits. The enormous amount of energy could even allow him to show signs of breaking through again. It was only a matter of time. The desolate sky leopard's blood essence also contained some of the desolate sky leopard's abilities. Du Xiaofu was also comprehending them. As the Xian Qi within the god's watchtower gradually gathered to an extremely full state, pure Xian Qi continued to surge in. It formed a whirlpool in the god's watchtower, and its speed became faster and faster. In the end, it was as if a hurricane had surged out of his body, causing the sound of wind and thunder to resound within Du Xiaofu's god's watchtower. This kind of turbulence within the god's watchtower did not cause Du Xiaofu any discomfort. Instead, it was extremely comfortable. Humph. However, when all the Xian Qi within the god's watchtower and even the Xian Qi within the meridians within his body had gathered within the god's watchtower vortex, the Xian Qi vortex had also surged to its most violent state. Du Xiaofu could not help but let out a muffled groan from his throat. Bang! Following that, the god's watchtower seemed to have been opened up. In the end, the vortex dissipated, and all the Xian Qi within the vortex poured out and spread throughout his body. It spread to his limbs, bones, and muscles, causing Du Xiaofu's entire body to feel indescribably comfortable. The blue runes and golden light around Du Xiaofu's body also slowly dissipated. After a long while, his body, which was sitting cross-legged, trembled slightly. His eyelashes moved slightly, and his eyelids trembled slightly before he slowly opened his eyes. Chi-chi. When Du Xiaofu opened his eyes, they were accompanied by flashes of lightning. A domineering aura that was many times stronger than before swept out from Du Xiaofu's body, causing the surrounding misty space to vibrate and create huge waves in space. The powerful and domineering aura slowly withdrew after a moment. In the end, it all surged into Du Xiaofu's body, and the lightning and golden light in his eyes also slowly withdrew. Feeling the aura within his body, Du Xiaofu smiled. Then he stood up vigorously. With a shake of his purple robe, the purple thunder profound cauldron appeared. Whoosh, whoosh! 5 figures jumped out from the purple thunder profound cauldron. They were the Desolate Sky Leopard, Scarlet Rock, Blue Fantasy, Yen Qi, and the Qi Mang couple. Originally, Yen Qi and the Qi Mang couple were still in the beast realm and were unable to take human form. However, at this moment, one of them had the appearance of a middle-aged man, while the other was a middle-aged woman. Although they were not beautiful, they were extremely simple and clean, and the aura on their bodies was extremely vigorous. After they had obtained the purple gold, profound thunder body refinement, they had directly broken through to the martial royal realm. At this moment, although Scarlet Rock and Blue Fantasy had not broken through to the honorable realm, from the aura on their bodies, it seemed that they were not far away from breaking through to the honorable realm. Haha, sacred thunder body refinement. As expected of sacred thunder body refinement. The Desolate Sky Leopard laughed loudly, and his eyes were filled with shock and joy. He knew that the sacred thunder body refinement was very beneficial to him. When he looked at Du Xiaofu and felt that the aura on Du Xiaofu's body was increasing, he was surprised and said, "Kid, you have broken through to the mysterious, honorable realm?" Chapter 1055. Because of the Grand Commander's blood essence, I had a slight breakthrough. Du Xiaofu said with a smile, "You broke through really quickly. That's insane." The Desolation Leopard knew very well how difficult it was to break through to the next level after reaching the Venerable Realm. After a moment of shock, he looked at Du Xiaofu and said, "Speaking of which, I've benefited a lot from you this time. I, the Desolation Leopard, owe you a favor. Then I won't stand on ceremony with this favor. Who knows? I might need the Grand Commander's help in the future." Du Xiaofu smiled. "Haha, good boy. You really don't stand on ceremony." The Desolation Leopard laughed, then said to Du Xiaofu seriously, "Don't worry. If I, the Desolation Leopard, ask for it, if there's anything in the future, as long as I can do it, I won't refuse. Then I'll thank the Grand Commander first." Du Xiaofu cupped his fists and said, "Don't be angry. Now that I've finished the divine thunder body refinement, I'll be in seclusion for a while. Rumor has it that signs of the divine thunder mansion have appeared at Thunder Rolling Mountain. I'm afraid I won't be able to rush to Thunder Rolling Mountain in a short period of time. Rumor has it that your father, Du Tingxian, has obtained something related to the divine thunder mansion. I'm afraid he'll also go to Thunder Rolling Mountain. You can try your luck there first. How about you help bring Blue Fantasy and Scarlet Rock along? Let them search for opportunities and find news about your father, Du Tingxian. Actually, the Desolation Cliff has been keeping an eye on it. If there's any other news, Blue Fantasy will be the first to know. It won't affect your business." The Desolation Leopard said to Du Xiaofu, "Let Blue Fantasy and Scarlet Rock follow me to Thunder Rolling Mountain?" Du Xiaofu smiled bitterly. He looked at the Desolation Leopard and said, "I'm in trouble. The dragons are also looking for me. If Scarlet Rock and Blue Fantasy follow me, I'm afraid it won't be good for them. If they're comfortable, there's no need to talk about opportunities." The Desolation Leopard looked at Du Xiaofu and smiled. "Du Xiaofu, you're afraid of those troubles. I'm also willing to follow you to search for opportunities and train myself," Lan Huan said. She also wanted to follow the young man before her to search for opportunities. "Okay, but just call me by my name, you." Du Xiaofu, and Rox knew it. "I also want to follow Big Brother." Qi Peng also intimately pulled Du Xiaofu and said. Du Xiaofu nodded and left the purple lightning profound cauldron with the others. I, she, it. Do his am. Of course, me, do purples. Knit purple, do moo, purple. And mysterious martial saint. I still can't catch up to you. Du Xiaofu sighed. The martial honorable realm was mysterious. It seemed that it was not enough to be compared with those of the same generation in the powerful clans and forces. You've already broken through fast enough. Moreover, in terms of battle prowess, you far surpassed those of the same level. Dongli Qingqing smiled seductively. She looked at Du Xiaofu and said, "It's not a good thing to break through too fast. Your body is strong. You can continue to strengthen it and stabilize your foundation. When the time comes, even if you encounter a great opportunity that can make your cultivation advance by leaps and bounds, you won't have to worry about any side effects." Du Xiaofu nodded with a smile. His recent breakthroughs were not slow. However, back when he was in the pulse spirit realm and pulse movement realm, his foundation was already very solid. Later on, he had been paying attention to his foundation, and his fleshly body had been forged to become even stronger. Thus, there were side effects of breaking through too quickly. At the very least, with his current cultivation level, the possible side effects would not appear on him. I wonder when I can become a Nirvana Martial Honorable. Du Xiaofu felt the aura in his body and muttered to himself. At this moment, he was a mysterious Martial Honorable. He did not know how much stronger he was compared to when he first descended. If he became a Nirvana Martial Honorable, he would naturally be even more powerful. Swoosh, swoosh! Not long after, on the Tianhuang cliff, several figures swept across the sky and instantly disappeared in mid-air. On the Tianhuang cliff, on a towering mountain peak, Jingu gloomily looked at the several figures in the distance. "Father, are we just going to let those two humans go?" Jingu gloomily looked at the sky in the distance. Within his well-built body, the originally vigorous and ferocious aura was extremely weak. His face was still pale, and he was far from fully recovered from his injuries. His eyes were filled with hatred, especially when he saw that Blue Fantasy had actually left with those humans. His injuries were too severe, and he was unable to follow. These days, the great commander and that young man have been very abnormal. Blue Fantasy also followed that human to Thunder Rolling Mountain. This is too abnormal. Something must have happened between them. Jingu frowned. His figure was slightly short, but he was extremely well built. His eyes were filled with a chilling radiance. "Father, are you worried about the great commander? According to our plan, you should propose marriage to the great commander and let me marry Blue Fantasy. Then, in the future, won't this Tianhuang cliff still belong to us?" Jingu said in a deep voice. "Do you think it's that easy? From what I know, Blue Fantasy is not interested in you at all." Jingu's golden hair draped over his shoulders. He glanced at Jingu, shook his yellow robe, and said in a deep voice, "I found a healing treasure, golden underworld fruit for you. After you consume it, you will be able to recover quickly. You might even obtain great benefits. It's not impossible for you to break through another layer. At that time, you might have a chance in front of Blue Fantasy. As long as you can break through again, I will propose marriage again. The great commander will have nothing to say." Golden underworld fruit. "Father, rumor has it that it's an item from the sea. Where did you get such a treasure?" Jingu was wild with joy. The golden underworld fruit was an absolute treasure of the beast race. It was difficult to find one, and it could only be found in the sea. "I have contact with the dragons. There are some things that the great commander doesn't want to do. If he doesn't want to take the benefits, then it doesn't matter if I take it. In any case, it's beneficial to us. We just have to casually tell them some news. The dragons will definitely go to Qingming and Xianku. If they get involved with the dragons, then our Tianhuang cliff will be in danger. The great commander doesn't care, but I can't care," Jingu said in a deep voice. "I have to recover as soon as possible and then head to Thunder Rolling Mountain. If I can obtain the inheritance of the divine Thunder Manor, then not only will this Tianhuang continent be mine, even the outside world will be mine." Jingu's gloomy eyes were filled with anticipation. At that time, Blue Fantasy would definitely not be able to escape from his grasp and would definitely submit to him. Thinking of that day, a perverted smile flashed across Jingu's eyes. It was as if he could already foresee that beautiful body in front of him, allowing him to ravage it. "Lin, don't underestimate this Tianhuang continent. This place is called the Savage Land by the humans. it is also filled with danger. Most of the places have been born here for generations, but we don't dare to set foot in them. It is said that many legends are buried here, but it has been a long time. There was also a rumor that the reason why the humans from the outside world haven't set foot in the savage land is because they're still the most terrifying experts on this Tianhuang continent. They are so powerful that even the top experts in the world have to be wary of them, Jean Gu said to Jean Lin seriously. Jean Gu's expression darkened. After a while, he asked Jean Gu, "Father, why do the humans call Tianhuang continent the savage land?" After a moment of silence, Jean Gu said to Jean Lin, "The rumor has been around for a long time, and we don't know if it's true or not. Do you know why the strongest beasts in this world are still the scaled beasts and the flying beasts, while only the tiger race can somewhat contend with us? But if we really want to compare, we are still inferior to the dragons and phoenixes." Jean Lin shook his head. He did not know. Jean Gu continued. In ancient times, the dragons and phoenixes joined forces and defeated the Qilin race. From then on, the Qilin race disappeared without a trace, never appearing for countless years. There are rumors that the Qilin race has long been exterminated. The demonic beasts on Tianhuang continent now are all followers of the Qilin race. Later on, some of the defeated troops fled to Tianhuang continent and escaped with the protection of a supreme expert. That expert also said that once they left Tianhuang continent, he would not protect them. Later on, the defeated troops that followed the Qilin race reproduced here. Out of fear of the dragons, the phoenixes exterminated them and never left. They also left behind some ancestral teachings that they were not allowed to leave Tianhuang continent for generations. Later on, the dragons and phoenixes suffered great losses, and there was a great calamity. Later on, the human race prospered and was at odds with the beast race. However, the human race never came to Tianhuang continent. Over time, there were very few people in Tianhuang mainland, and all the demon beasts get used to staying in Tianhuang mainland. None of them ventured out, and this place became a barren land. The blood in our bodies is from the ancient era, and we are also known as savage beasts. I see. Jean Lin's eyes flickered with a fierce glint as he said softly, "If those puny humans can let me obtain the information from the divine Thunder Manor, I'll definitely step out of Tianhuang continent and sweep through Kyushu. Even the dragons and phoenixes won't have to fear me." Roar! In the pitch-black darkness, a gigantic black tiger with a golden glow flapped its wings. It was ferocious and terrifying as black runes soared into the sky. Its aura was extremely strong and oppressive. Wherever it passed, both the beast race and the human race would avoid it and not dare to look for trouble. There were several figures sitting on the gigantic black tiger. They were Du Xiaofu and Don Li Qingqing. Du Xiaoqing, Du Xiaoyao, Blue Fantasy, and Scarlet Rock. There were many savage beasts along the way as they headed for Thunder Rumble Mountain. However, not all of them listened to Scarlet Rock and Blue Fantasy. Chapter 1056. In order to reduce the trouble, Du Xiaofu had the little tiger transform into its original form and release its aura to intimidate the savage beasts. It really did save a lot of trouble. What a terrifying black tiger. I'm afraid it's a terrifying race among the tigers. A person who can have such a mount must have a powerful background. Some people were discussing. A person who had such a huge tiger as a mount was naturally not an ordinary person. It was better not to provoke them. What a powerful aura. Blue Fantasy felt the little tiger's aura and was secretly shocked. She just realized that the little tiger's aura had reached such a powerful level. If I consume the golden-winged rock's blood, will I also have such an aura? Blue Fantasy muttered to herself. She also had the golden-winged rock's blood and could even take the opportunity to break through. However, breaking through from the peak of the Beast Emperor realm to the Beast Venerable realm was a major realm. She didn't know when she could succeed. The signs of the Divine Thunder Mansion's appearance seemed to be getting more and more obvious in Thunder Rolling Mountain. Therefore, Blue Fantasy decided to consume the golden-winged roc's blood later and look for opportunities first. Du Xiaofu rode on the little tiger. It was majestic and awe-inspiring along the way. It was not much weaker than the chariots of the dragons, Dragon 9, and the phoenixes. However, there were also many things that were delayed in this savage land, especially Du Xiaoyao. Along the way, she had discovered many spiritual medicines and heavenly treasures. With Du Xiaoyao's talent, she had been reaping benefits along the way. Blue Fantasy was secretly shocked. Therefore, in the past 2 days, the little tiger didn't travel too far, even with its speed. At dusk, the sun shrouded the sky. A huge mountain range and canyon was majestic. It was the only way to pass through this area. At this moment, there were many powerful auras deliberately concealed on the cliff. A group of creatures stood there, waiting for something, especially the few young men in the lead. They were all heaven-sent martial artists and looked extremely extraordinary. This was especially the case for a young man in yellow patterned battle clothes. His eyes were like that of a tiger watching its prey, revealing a vicious glint. The creatures behind him were in awe of him, as if they had all submitted to him. Beside the yellow patterned battle suit, there was a young man in luxurious clothes embroidered with many nebula patterns. His face was handsome and well-defined, and his hair seemed to be covered with scales. His eyes were sharp. The aura of the finely dressed young man fluctuated, causing a chill to permeate the space. From his aura, one could tell that he had not submitted to the leading young man, but there was fear in his eyes. If Du Xiaofu was here at this moment, he would definitely be able to recognize that this young man in luxurious clothes was the heaven wasteland star, swallowing python that had escaped from his hands back then. He's here. The young man raised his head and said indifferently. It was unknown whether he was looking at the sunset or the sky. He is very strong, and his physical body is even stronger. The heaven wasteland star-devouring python said. There was still some lingering fear in its eyes. If it had not fled quickly back then, it probably would have ended up like the cyan-headed serpent. No matter how strong your physical body is, can it be stronger than mine? You are getting weaker. The young man in battle clothes glanced at the heaven wasteland star-devouring python and said, he is very strong. That is why I have to rush over and search for him for so long. Such a battle servant is hard to find. I hope that he will not disappoint me. Flap, flap. A few breaths later, a large pitch-black creature flapped its wings and flew over from the light in front. Golden light shot out, and a couple figures could be vaguely seen within it. Tiger tribe. Its aura is actually so rich. The eyes of the yellow-patterned battle suit young man trembled when he sensed the aura of the large, pitch-black creature. Ferocity and greed flashed across his eyes as he said, "It is already worthy for me to come. I feel that the black tiger that has been reduced to a mount will definitely be beneficial to me." Flap, flap. The large, pitch-black tiger that was emitting golden light hovered in the air. It looked down at the sky with hostility and released a shockingly overbearing pressure. "Ha! Heaven wasteland star swallowing python. So it is you. You have delivered yourself to me." A young man in purple robes laughed loudly from the back of the large, pitch-black tiger. His purple robes fluttered in the wind, and his eyes were filled with excitement, as if he had seen his own treasure. "Du Xiaofu, there will naturally be someone who will deal with you today. Just you wait." The heaven wasteland star swallowing python roared. Its aura was fierce, and a dazzling and mysterious rune spread across its body. However, it could not hide the lingering fear in the depths of its eyes as it faced the young man in purple robes. "Oh my, you even brought a helper." Du Xiaofu's figure shot out and floated in front of the little tiger. His gaze swept across the group of creatures, and in the end, it landed on the young man in patterned battle clothes. He said, "You don't seem weak. Are you that Du Xiaofu? I've heard that you're very strong. Become my battle servant. I'll make you stronger and give you unimaginable benefits. I'll also take that mount of yours." The young man in patterned battle clothes spoke. His voice shook the sky, causing the entire canyon to tremble. Otherwise, I will tear you to pieces and destroy your soul. Du Xiaofu, the demon king, Du Xiaofu. Has he appeared again? Immediately, figures passing by in the distance stopped when they heard the roar and came over in search of the source of the sound. What a powerful aura! It is much more powerful than Jin Lin. He must have come from a terrifying existence. Blue Fantasy, who was on the little tiger's back, moved her eyes. She could feel the aura of the young man in battle clothes. Regardless of whether it was the aura of his bloodline or the aura of his cultivation, it was imperceptibly powerful to the point that she could not help but tremble a little. In the air, Du Xiaofu's expression became somewhat ugly. This was the first monstrous beast that had actually wanted him to become a battle servant. It seems that the monstrous beast has taken a liking to you. However, he should be stronger than the desolate, star-swallowing python. Do you want me to take care of him? Dongli Qingqing's figure swept across the sky and arrived beside Du Xiaofu. Her hair fluttered slightly, making her look like a celestial being in the sky. However, at this moment, Dongli Qingqing's eyes were slightly different. She felt that if she were to take care of the young man in battle clothes, it would be a little troublesome and even a little strenuous. I will personally take care of him. This is the first monstrous beast that has wanted to take me as a battle servant. I cannot forgive him. Otherwise, there will be a shadow in my heart that will affect my state of mind. Du Xiaofu said and took a breath. He had actually been targeted by a monstrous beast. Then he shook his purple robe and pointed at the young man in battle clothes from afar. He shouted loudly, "Monstrous beast, I will drink your blood!" His voice was overbearing and terrifying. Du Xiaofu was indeed somewhat unable to forgive the young man in battle clothes. Hearing this, the young man in battle clothes was stunned. Then he sneered and said, "You do have a temper. I hope your strength surprises me as much as your temper. Otherwise, you won't even have the chance to become my battle servant." Boom! As he spoke, the young man in battle clothes had already made his move. His figure stomped on the rocky ground, and yellow runes burst out from the soles of his feet. He soared into the sky like a cannon, and his hand clawed directly at Du Xiaofu. He wanted to take care of that human brat in one move and show his might. Chi! Chi! Under this claw, the yellow light distorted the void and scattered mysterious runes. There were even some pitch-black lines that spread out in the surroundings. It was as if the space was about to be torn apart. Xiaoyang Seal, go down! Du Xiaofu's body swooped down. Instead of retreating, he advanced. Like a golden lightning bolt, he waved his hand and blasted a palm directly at the young man in battle clothes. For some reason, the surrounding space began to tremble violently. When the palm and claw suddenly collided, a frightening golden light surged out from the palm. The light was gorgeous, appearing just like a bright golden color. A powerful energy pressure spread from it, causing the entire space to tremble intensely. Boom! Then, the golden light burst out, covering half the sky. The aura was incomparably domineering. The energy collided like thunder, and terrifying runes scattered and spread out. Many mountains below were directly cracked by the impact. Boom! The body of the young man in battle robes fell from the sky like a meteor. Under the shocked gazes of his followers, he slammed heavily into the huge mountain range of the canyon, causing the surrounding mountains to shake and rocks to fall. Ka! Large cracks climbed all over the mountain. The young man in battle clothes' palm, which had just clawed out, was bleeding. At this moment, the young man in battle clothes' fierce eyes became slightly solemn after the shock. Roar, yellow light burst out, and the young man in battle clothes' aura caused the mountain to crack even more. Large amounts of rocks collapsed and turned into a huge body that rushed out and floated in the air. The young man in battle clothes' body was hundreds of feet large, like a mountain peak. His body was densely covered with yellow stripes, and his entire body was flowing with light, as if he was made of gold. This was a terrifyingly ferocious giant tiger that emitted resplendent talisman runes. Its terrifying aura surged, and the tiger's roar shook one's soul. Its eyes were like that of a tiger staring at its prey, causing one's hair to stand on end. The yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger. Apart from the white tiger and the dark sky tiger, it's a terrifying species that ranks in the top 3 in the tiger tribe. It's definitely at the top of the heavenly beast list. It comes directly from the bloodline of the ancient true tiger and is close to the white tiger. No wonder it's so extraordinary. Dongli Chingching stood in the air, and there was some surprise in her eyes. The little tiger looked at the huge tiger body, and its pitch-black eyes trembled. It's really strong. It's only a little injured. Du Xiaofu looked at the huge creature that appeared in front of him and was very surprised. Under the Xiaoyang seal, he wanted to finish it off in one move, but he didn't expect that the beast would only suffer a little injury. However, the taste should be pretty good. Then, there was no fear in Du Xiaofu's eyes. Instead, it was as if he had encountered a treasure. He licked his lips, and his eyes became excited. "I'll never let you go." The yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger had suffered a loss in one move. It had never been in such a sorry state before. With a resounding roar, its gigantic body immediately rushed towards Du Xiaofu. A terrifying aura erupted from its body as its entire body glowed. Swish! The huge tiger claws swept out, and the tiger pounced on its prey, causing the void to tremble. Its aura whistled through the sky. Chapter 1057. I'm going to eat you too. Du Xiaofu roared. At the same time, he quickly formed hand seals, and a powerful aura surged like a peerless, ferocious beast that wanted to soar into the sky. Facing the claw of the yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger, Du Xiaofu directly punched out. He had already used all his strength except for his pulse spirit, martial vein, and purple gold heavenly palace. This was the way of the overbearing fist. Boom! With this punch, Du Xiaofu had already pushed the strength of his physical body to the limit. The aura was domineering and looked down on everything. Roar! Roar! This punch had the roar of a dragon and the cry of a divine elephant, accompanied by lightning and thunder in the sky. The void in front of the punch exploded. The terrifying rune ripples were like a tsunami, sweeping through the void as if it was going to destroy everything. The seemingly small punch collided with a huge tiger's claw, causing the entire space to shake violently. An invisible, domineering aura shook the space, causing the space to ripple endlessly. It was as if thunder was rumbling endlessly between the heavens and the earth. Bang! A low, dull sound resounded through the sky. Monstrous energy instantly exploded, and waves of extremely terrifying energy storms swept out. Roar! The yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger's huge body was then forced back. Its huge claws cracked, and blood poured out. Its thick tiger claws had been shattered by the punch. Other than the white tiger and the dark heavenly tiger, the yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger was ranked in the top 3 in the entire tiger tribe. Any yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger was extremely powerful and could stand proudly in the world. They were also invincible within the beast tribe, and the yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger's defense was even more powerful. It was said that in terms of pure defense, other than the white tiger and the dark heavenly tiger, the yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger was ranked first in the tiger tribe. But now, this yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger was actually forced back twice by a human and was even injured. That's the Demon King, Du Xiaofu. He's the one fighting with the young expert from the tiger tribe. There were already many spectators who gradually gathered around. When they saw the scene in front of them, many of them were shocked and shocked. Roar! The roar of the yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger shook the sky. This roar was even more terrifying than the roar of the howling sky demon tiger, causing people's primordial spirits to tremble. As a member of the yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger clan, this yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger refused to submit to humans. Its huge body once again charged towards Du Xiaofu. Again? Then let's see how thick your skin is. Du Xiaofu shouted loudly. He had just broken through recently, and had also cleansed his bones and marrow several times. He was looking for a strong opponent to test his current strength. Du Xiaofu also needed to master some of the divine abilities that he had recently comprehended. The extraordinary yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger in front of him was naturally a good target for Du Xiaofu. Thus, Du Xiaofu battled the yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger and used the profundities he had recently comprehended, including the desolate sky leopard's ability. Divine splendor filled the air, and the resplendent talisman patterns prevented dusk from falling. The yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger attacked with all its might. Its huge tiger body was ferocious and ferocious. Its tiger claws were sharp and could tear the sky apart, causing the mountains below to crumble and the earth to crack. Wherever the tiger claws passed, the mountains and valleys below revealed ravines. The scene was horrifying. Du Xiaofu used one technique after another. His aura was domineering, and he roared as he faced the tiger head-on. The area of the battle between the man and the beast grew larger and larger, raising the surrounding area to the ground. Roar! The yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger kept roaring. Its roar was also an attack that could affect primordial spirits and make people tremble in fear. One could see that the sound waves had materialized and covered the sky. Rumble! The man and the beast collided in midair. The surrounding valleys were all torn apart. Huge rocks exploded and turned into fine powder. The surrounding spectators were dumbfounded. They were all trembling under the terrifying aura. The yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger became more and more alarmed. Every time its terrifying tiger claws fell, the mountains collapsed and the earth cracked. The surrounding gazes were mostly focused on the purple-robed youth. In comparison, the purple-robed youth's body was small and insignificant. However, when he collided with the huge tiger, the purple-robed youth's fists landed on flesh. Mysterious runes filled the sky, and muffled sounds were like thunder. Demon King Du Xiaofu is too strong. Some of the spectating youths were shocked. That Demon King Du Xiaofu was too strong. He did not use any weapon, but he was not at a disadvantage when he collided with the yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger. Everyone could see that even the Demon King Du Xiaofu was suppressing the yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger in a physical collision. It was as if he was trampling on the huge tiger. Suppress! Finally, it was time for the yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger to use all its strength. The yellow runes on its body erupted, and dazzling, mysterious runes swept out. Finally, they turned into circles of golden rune halos. It was like a huge net that covered the sky and covered the sun. A ferocious tiger shadow roared above it. The rune net was dazzling. It was like a sun that had just fallen and was suppressing Du Xiaofu. The terrifying pressure caused the heavens and earth to tremble. Many of the surrounding spectators trembled. The terrifying pressure was too strong. It was as if a real tiger had descended and could suppress all living things. This is the yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger's heaven-trapping net. It is an innate divine ability that can suppress everything. That is a yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger at the level of a Nirvana beast venerable. If a peak martial venerable were to encounter it, I'm afraid even a peak martial venerable would not be able to take advantage of it. The discussions were filled with shock. Some of the super experts who were watching from afar were also shocked. What a powerful divine ability! At this moment, Du Xiaofu was also a little moved. This yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger was definitely extremely powerful. Besides his trump card, he could be considered to have used all of his strength. That terrifying pressure came pressing down. Suddenly, a tyrannical and terrifying aura erupted from Du Xiaofu's body, like a torrent in this short period of time. The golden light around Du Xiaofu's body soared into the sky like a rising sun. It was as if a golden winged rock was spreading its wings. In the next moment, the golden runes on Du Xiaofu's back condensed into a pair of rock wings. It was as if he was about to transform into a golden winged rock. Rumble! The yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger's pressure enveloped the area. Under the terrifying aura, the ground below that had already been raised to the ground was suddenly filled with dust and gravel, and the ground was constantly exploding. The terrifying pressure was like a real tiger descending, shaking the mountains and rivers. Boom! Boom! Du Xiaofu flapped his wings and swept across the sky, forcefully suppressing the enemy. Golden rays of light blossomed in the sky as his overbearing and terrifying aura overflowed into the sky. His movements were grand, overbearing, fierce, and domineering, and he was like a rock that flapped its wings and soared through the 9 heavens. The confrontation between the two was like thunder in the sky. A series of runes burst out like gorgeous fireworks, causing the entire sky to be resplendent. Behind that resplendent light, there was an astonishing pressure. It was as if it was about to destroy everything. The surrounding heaven and earth trembled. The yellow-striped heaven-shaking tiger's heaven-trapping net did not last long before it was destroyed. Pucci! The golden runes swept across. The yellow-striped heaven-shaking tiger spat out blood from its mouth. Its eyes were filled with disbelief and shock. Bang! Almost at the same time, a golden light burst out. Du Xiaofu's figure appeared on top of the huge tiger. A fist wrapped in golden runes fiercely fell down. Bang! The loud sound was like thunder. Then the crowd saw the huge body of the yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger fall like a meteorite, heavily smashing into the ground below. Rumble! The moment the huge tiger's huge body landed on the ground, that terrifying force created a huge crater in the ground. Cracks spread out in all directions, extending into the distance. Roar! The huge body of the yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger fell like this. If it was any other demonic beast, its body would have already exploded. However, its body struggled to stand up. However, at this moment, the yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger's covetous eyes had already dimmed. It had been ravaged by Du Xiaofu all this time. It had also used all its strength to activate its sacred art. It was exhausted and heavily injured, causing it to be dispirited. With fear in its eyes, the yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger felt that the terrifying aura from Du Xiaofu's body was too terrifying. It was like a supreme beast. That pressure made it feel fear. It was as if a real golden-winged rock had descended. At this moment, the yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger knew that the heaven wasteland star, swallowing pythons, words were not exaggerated. This Du Xiaofu was indeed extremely terrifying. He did not seem like a human, but more like a supreme beast. Swish! Du Xiaofu swooped down. The golden light in his eyes was terrifying. He wanted to tyrannically suppress the yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger. Run! The yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger felt the sharpness from Du Xiaofu's body. That sharpness contained killing intent. That human would definitely not let it go. Immediately, its huge body jumped up and fled with all its might. Chapter 1058. Where do you think you're going? Du Xiaofu shouted. How could he let the yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger go? Whether it was the blood essence of the yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger, or the fact that the yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger had offended him today, he couldn't let it go. Just like the star-swallowing python not long ago. He didn't chase after it, but now he brought the yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger to intercept him. With a loud shout, Du Xiaofu's figure turned and leaped out like a bolt of lightning, crushing down with great pressure, directly riding on the huge tiger's body. Then he waved his fists and directly landed on the body of the yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger. In one breath, his fists landed on the body of the yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger, smashing it until golden light gushed out. Too savage. Countless people were stunned. The demon king, Du Xiaofu, was too savage. At this time, the yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger was already an arrow at the end of its flight. After being hit by Du Xiaofu's angry punches, its defense became weaker and weaker, and its huge body began to crack and bleed. directly collapsing on the ground. Roar! The yellow-striped heaven-shaking tiger kept roaring, the runes on its body shining brightly. It shook its head and wagged its tail as it struggled, using its last move to throw Du Xiaofu off the tiger's back. However, Du Xiaofu suppressed it, carrying the domineering will of the golden-winged roc. Like a real golden-winged roc, his punches fell like a demon god, smashing the yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger's huge body until it was only 3 meters long. Poochie! The yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger spat out blood. The tiger bones on its body were dense, and its flesh was badly mangled, screaming and roaring incessantly. Too savage. That's a yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger. Blue Fantasy gasped. Her heavenly leopard physique was lower than the yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger's bloodline. The yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger race was an absolutely terrifying existence among the beast race, but now it was being trampled on by the purple-robed youth. Du Xiaofu, what do you want? How about we mind our own business? The yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger roared. At this moment, he was on the verge of death. Even if his primordial spirit wanted to escape, it was too late. Under the pressure of the supreme beast aura, the yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger's body was sealed. It knew that even if its primordial spirit tried to escape, it would be destroyed immediately. You wanted to take me in as your battle servant, and now you still want to mind your own business. Du Xiaofu cursed loudly. Was he so easy to bully? With a single punch, the yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger let out a miserable howl. Then what do you want? You don't dare to kill me. If you dare to touch me, my yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger clan will never let you off. The yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger roared. It had originally wanted to capture a powerful battle servant and bring it back to show off. Who would have thought that in the end it would be trampled on? But when he heard this, Du Xiaofu's originally domineering and fierce eyes suddenly surged with killing intent. Even if he let the yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger go today, Du Xiaofu knew that the consequences would be the same as the heaven wasteland star swallowing Python. At that time, the yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger would still find trouble with him. It was better to directly deal with it. He had too many enemies. Only by killing one would there be one less. I even dare to touch the dragons. Do you think I don't dare to touch the yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger clan? Du Xiaofu sneered. Killing intent surged in his eyes. A golden light erupted from his hand, and a terrifying aura surged out. His fist directly landed on the ferocious tiger's head. Bang, bang! A muffled explosion resounded, shaking the earth. As the fist landed, the yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger's eyes shrunk. Its head directly smashed into the ground. The last trace of fear in its eyes dimmed. Its eyes closed, and there was no more life in its body. Goo goo! All the gazes in the surroundings were fixed on the yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger from afar. When its life was extinguished, the surrounding gazes trembled violently. Some people sucked in cold air and swallowed their saliva. Not good! On the cliff in the distance, when the yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger was killed, the heaven wasteland star swallowing Python's body transformed into a young man in luxurious clothes, directly soared into the sky, and fled with lightning speed. You won't be able to escape this time. A delicate voice sounded like the sound of nature. A dazzling green light illuminated the void. A graceful figure seemed to have been prepared. She floated like a god and appeared like a ghost. It was Dongli Qingqing. She gently waved her white wrist, and a terrifying green light flew out from her delicate hand. It turned into a handprint and directly landed on the young man in luxurious clothes. When the green handprint appeared, it was like a divine seal had descended. Its power was incomparably terrifying. It emitted a dazzling green light and was filled with vitality. However, it devoured life. Before the handprint, everything turned into desolation. It was mysterious and terrifying. The yellow runes of the green light engulfed the young man in luxurious clothes. At this moment, the young man in luxurious clothes felt fear. His heart trembled for no reason. The terrifying handprint brought along a terrifying aura and pressure, as if it wanted to devour his life. It was too mysterious and terrifying. Bang! When the handprint landed, the young man in luxurious clothes' body shot down from the sky and fiercely crashed into the ground. He had not recovered much from his injuries. At this moment, blood violently spurted out from his mouth as he crashed into the ground, causing the ground to shake. Chi! In just a split second, Dongli Qingqing's graceful figure was also recorded. Several handprint runes swept down and directly restricted the young man in luxurious clothes. He could no longer move. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. However, at this moment, the few battle servants that were following the yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger, as well as a few other young men and women of the beast race, all of them lost their heads out of fear and fled with fear in their eyes. They fled in panic and did not dare to stay. Du Xiaofu did not chase after them. He was busy collecting the blood of the yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger. He did not want to miss a single drop. It was an absolute treasure. After the battle ended, the curtain of night had already begun to descend. A few stars were already hanging in the sky. After that, Du Xiaofu skillfully skinned the corpse of the yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger and took out its bones. He found a place with water and washed it clean. Taking out the medicine furnace on his body, he added various spiritual herbs and a small portion of the remaining 8-star purple spirit fruit vine from last time. Du Xiaofu began to stew the tiger bone treasure soup. Of course! How could Du Xiaofu let go of that pile of tiger meat? The golden winged rock was able to absorb the energy from the demonic beast's flesh for its own use. The little tiger helped to set up the roasting table. Du Xiaoqing started a fire. Du Xiaofu took out a pile of seasonings and finally began to roast the tiger meat. On the mountain peak at night, the fragrance of meat permeated the air. However, some of the spectators who did not want to leave just looked from afar. They did not dare to come close. When they smelled the fragrance of the meat, they could only fiercely swallow their saliva. Too savage. No wonder he's called the Demon King. Blue Fantasy was shocked. Looking at Du Xiaofu's skillful stewing and roasting of the meat, it was definitely not the first time this guy dealt with those powerful demonic beasts like this. However, not long after, Blue Fantasy, who originally refused to eat the roasted meat, saw Du Xiaoqing, Du Xiaoyao, and Dongli Qingqing wolfing down the tiger meat. Smelling the tempting fragrance of the roasted meat, he could not help but give it a try. When the fragrance of the meat stimulated his taste buds, a wave of energy flowed into his body. Blue Fantasy could not help but exclaim in astonishment, "What a fragrant roasted meat! This meat is the flesh of the yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger. It's equivalent to a precious flesh medicine that can increase one's strength. Of course, this is good stuff." Scarlet Rock had already started eating. He ate heartily, comparable to Du Xiaoyao. Tiger bone soup. Du Xiaofu laughed mischievously and started drinking the tiger bone soup. When the delicious and fragrant soup entered his throat, it immediately turned into a wave of energy that rushed into his limbs and bones, making him feel comfortable all over. Here, this soup is also a treasure that can increase one's strength. Little Tiger picked up a bowl of tiger bone soup and passed it to Blue Fantasy. His pitch-black eyes did not dare to look directly into Blue Fantasy's clear and beautiful eyes. "Thank you." Blue Fantasy was stunned for a moment, then took the tiger bone soup from Little Tiger. "This is also for you." After a moment, Little Tiger passed the last piece of roasted meat to Blue Fantasy. A smile appeared on his face, and his usual ferociousness was gone. Blue Fantasy did not refuse. Instead, she smiled faintly, which made Little Tiger stare blankly for a long time. Dongli Qingqing saw this and smiled without saying anything. She turned around and looked at Du Xiaofu, who was still gulping down the soup, as if he was afraid that someone would snatch it from him. In the end, a 10-feet-long tiger and a large pot of tiger bone soup were gobbled up by these few people. Not even a speck was left. My body is filled with energy that needs to be refined. Blue Fantasy was surprised. After eating the tiger meat and soup, it turned into an extremely vigorous energy that swam in her body. The body of a yellow-striped, sky-shaking tiger of the Beast Supreme realm at the Nirvana realm was an absolute treasure. Du Xiaofu stood on the mountain peak after eating and drinking to his heart's content. His purple robe fluttered gently as he looked at the bright moon moving westward. Dongli Qingqing came to Du Xiaofu's side and looked at Du Xiaofu. Their eyes met and she smiled, making the moonlight pale in comparison. Looking at the woman in front of him, this smile made Du Xiaofu a little stunned. Chapter 1059. This woman was like a fairy of this world. A few strands of her hair fluttered in the night wind, adding a touch of charm to her nobility. Du Xiaofu was stunned by her beauty. She was already a beautiful woman, and now she was even more moving. She was so beautiful that it was suffocating. Du Xiaofu still remembered the first time he had seen this woman in the mountain range of savage beasts. At that time, she had still been young and inexperienced, but she had stirred something in the depths of his heart. All these years he had often thought of her. Facing her now, Du Xiaofu's heartstrings that had been stirred back then were once again stirred. He had never felt such a feeling before, not even Cheng Xingnan. What are you looking at? Dongli Qingqing looked at Du Xiaofu's dazed gaze, breaking the awkwardness under the moonlight. You are so beautiful. Looking at you makes one's heart feel comfortable, Du Xiaofu said with a smile. When did you become so glib-tongued and glib-tongued? Dongli Qingqing secretly revealed a shy expression, adding to her beauty. After rolling her eyes at Du Xiaofu, she lowered her head slightly in embarrassment. Under the night wind, a faint fragrance wafted from her body. She curled her red lips and said in a soft voice, I once thought that you wouldn't remember me. I can't forget you. I will still think of you often, Du Xiaofu said softly. Will you really think of me? Hearing this, Dongli Qingqing looked up. Her clear eyes stared seriously at Du Xiaofu, as if Du Xiaofu's answer was extremely important to her. Of course. Du Xiaofu stared at Dongli Qingqing. At this moment, he seemed to feel something in the clear eyes of this beautiful, fairy-like woman before him. Some emotions didn't need to be expressed in words. Just a look was enough for two people who had the heart to understand. Hearing Du Xiaofu's reply, Dongli Qingqing's expression did not change at all. She turned her head slightly again and continued to gaze at the night sky. However, the moment she turned her eyes, it was as if a stone had fallen into the water, causing ripples to appear in her clear eyes. Du Xiaoqing, Little Tiger, Scarlet Rock, Blue Fantasy, and the others were already sitting cross-legged and meditating. There was only the night wind blowing around them. Everything seemed very quiet, so quiet that the two of them could hear each other's heartbeats. Roar! In the depths of the mountain range, the roars of beasts could be faintly heard. It was as if there were people fighting in the distance. The two of them stood there quietly, enjoying this rare moment of tranquility. After a long time, Dongli Qingqing broke the silence and asked Du Xiaofu, Xiaofu, what do you want to do the most? Become a powerhouse, a true powerhouse? Du Xiaofu didn't hesitate. He gazed at the bright moon in the sky, and a strand of unswerving determination gushed out from his clear eyes. Do you want to be famous in this world, or do you want to take the world by storm? Dongli Qingqing looked curiously at Du Xiaofu. Her gaze was very serious. Being famous in the world and taking the world by storm is not my intention. Du Xiaofu's eyes flashed with sharpness as he said, I only want to be reunited with my family, never to be separated from my family, never to be bullied, to protect the people I care about, and to protect everything around me. If people don't offend me, I won't offend them. If people offend me, I will definitely retaliate. It seems that you have a lot of stories to tell. Looking at Du Xiaofu for a while, Dongli Qingqing's clear eyes rippled. She then looked at the bright moon and opened her red lips slightly. Some paths can't be chosen by oneself. Some things must be done by oneself. You've never talked about yourself before, Du Xiaofu said. He took a few steps forward and sat on a flat, protruding rock on the mountain peak. His purple robe fluttered as he quietly looked at the moonlight in the sky. Behind him, the little tiger and the others were already enveloped in radiance as they breathed in and out. I don't seem to have much to say. It's not as exciting as yours. Dongli Qingqing smiled slightly. She walked lightly and sat next to Du Xiaofu. Her gentle fragrance exuded an enchanting aura. She seemed to hesitate as she looked at the young man in front of her. Then, she gently opened her mouth and asked Du Xiaofu, "Are you tired?" "I'm not tired." Du Xiaofu shook his head and smiled. "You," before Du Xiaofu could finish his sentence, Dongli Qingqing's body suddenly moved slightly. She gently leaned her head on Du Xiaofu's shoulder and said softly, "Don't speak." Her gentle voice sounded beside his ear. It was like a warm wind blowing past his ear, bringing with it a delicate fragrance. This sudden scene made Du Xiaofu absent-minded for a while. He slightly glanced at the girl on his shoulder and didn't move. He just quietly leaned against her. It was very quiet on the mountain peak. The two of them quietly leaned against each other. They could even hear each other's heartbeats. After a long while, Du Xiaofu once again glanced at the girl on his shoulder. Then, he gently leaned his head on her hair. The two of them didn't speak, but at this moment, their heartbeats seemed to be telling each other something. There were emotions growing in their hearts. It was like a seed that had been buried in the depths of their hearts for a long time. At this moment, it was watered and began to grow. Time slowly passed like this. The bright moon set in the west. A gentle night breeze brushed against the two of them. They didn't know when it started, but the two of them had become even closer. They were completely leaning against each other. When the sky began to turn white after dawn, the morning clouds came out of the mountains. Amidst the green and vast sky, milky white clouds drifted to the mountainside in the distance. The morning sun shone on the mountain range. The multicolored light poured down in torrents. "It's daybreak." Dongli Qingqing raised her head and immediately stood up. She took a few light steps forward. The morning sun was hazy, and her graceful body was extremely beautiful. A few strands of hair fluttered gently beside her ears. As her ponytail moved, it was as if she was out of this world. Du Xiaofu sat and looked at the girl in front of him. She was a fairy who had awakened in the morning sun. She was a banished immortal who had mistakenly entered the world. Her beauty and her temperament moved one's soul and tugged at one's heartstrings. At this moment, Du Xiaofu had an indescribable feeling in his heart. He stood up and walked in front of the fairy, looking straight into her clear eyes. "Xiaofu, what's wrong with you?" Looking at those clear eyes, Dongli Qingqing's beautiful eyes revealed a trace of a complicated look. She seemed to have vaguely felt something, but didn't know what would happen. She was somewhat expectant, but also very afraid. At this moment, before Dongli Qingqing's voice fell, Du Xiaofu suddenly held the fairy's moving face in front of him with both hands. He looked straight into her clear eyes. His face leaned down, and his lips directly kissed her. Suddenly, their lips were pressed together. Dongli Qingqing's delicate body suddenly trembled. It was as if an electric current had surged through her body. She was at a loss. Looking at those clear eyes in front of her eyes, her heart suddenly thumped wildly. But at this moment, her whole body began to stiffen, as if she was weak and powerless. This fairy was completely at a loss. But the moist touch between her lips made her whole body go limp and numb. Dongli Qingqing found that her lips, which had never been touched by anyone before, were now gently sucked by him. It was a numbing electric shock. It came from her lips and surged into her heart, causing ripples to appear in her heart. She felt that he wasn't just doing that. His lips were beginning to attack, beginning to plunder. A soft and tender thing pried open her mouth and barged in. It was as if he had forcefully barged into her heart, which was not ready to open. This was a kind of instinct. This fairy couldn't help but close her eyes and instinctively respond. She was a little frightened, a little scared, a little unfamiliar, and a little nervous. Thus, their tongues began to intertwine and connect with each other's hearts. As their tongues rolled, they intertwined with each other's breaths. What are big brother Xiaofu and big sister Qingqing doing? Suddenly, Scarlet Rock's voice came from not far away. A pair of jet-black eyes with a hint of golden light flickered as they curiously looked at the couple not far away. When Scarlet Rock's voice came out, Dongli Qingqing's delicate body suddenly trembled. She immediately pushed Du Xiaofu away. Her delicate face was crimson. Under the morning glow, it was even more moving. Dongli Qingqing looked not far away at this moment. She didn't know when, but there were many pairs of eyes staring at her. "I'm ignoring you." With a shy face and cheeks burning, Dongli Qingqing rolled her eyes at Du Xiaofu. Her slender and tall legs shyly stomped the ground. She couldn't wait to find a hole to hide in. Then she could only fly away. Du Xiaofu chuckled. His face was full of smiles as he savored the lingering fragrance in his mouth. However, when he turned around, he saw several pairs of astonished eyes behind him. He didn't care. With his hands behind his back, he stood with his head held high and said shamelessly, "What are you looking at? You're all still young. Don't peek in the future. It's not suitable for children. I'm already a few hundred years old. I think I'm older than you." Blue Fantasy's eyes flickered as she rolled her eyes at Du Xiaofu. "You're so shameless." Du Xiaoyao glanced at Du Xiaofu, then knocked Scarlet Rock's head. She said unhappily, "Little calf, you really don't know any better. You ruined everything. I thought you could watch a little longer." "What does it have to do with me?" Scarlet Rock scratched the back of her head. She was a little confused. She looked up at Blue Fantasy and asked, "Sister Blue Fantasy, what were Brother Xiaofu and Sister Qingqing doing just now?" Hearing this, Blue Fantasy blushed a little. She said softly to Scarlet Rock, "Your brother Xiaofu and Sister Qingqing were practicing martial arts just now." So they were practicing martial arts. What a strange human martial art. Scarlet Rock had a look of enlightenment. "Okay, we should leave for Thunder Rolling Mountain." Du Xiaofu's voice sounded. His figure was already in the sky. Whoosh, whoosh! Soon after, the crowd's faces turned serious. They began to move, and one figure after another immediately flew into the sky. The group set off once again towards Thunder Rolling Mountain. Everywhere they passed, the savage beasts did not dare to approach. The powerhouses were also afraid of provoking them. That evening, Du Xiaofu did not continue on his journey. Instead, he asked Dongli Qingqing to protect him. He entered the ancient desolate space and refined the blood of the yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger into the purest blood essence. He consumed it and continued to cleanse his bones and marrow. Du Xiaofu could directly use the blood of demonic beasts to cleanse his bones and marrow. After refining the demonic beast blood into blood essence in his own body, he could then cleanse his bones and marrow. However, the speed was much slower. Consuming it after refining it into blood essence in a spiritual stove talisman cauldron would speed up the cleansing process. The energy would also be more berserk and the effects would be better. The next morning, Du Xiaofu walked out of the ancient desolate space. His aura was invisibly stronger. The group set off once again towards Thunder Rolling Mountain. At this moment, the Demon King Du Xiaofu's name was even more famous in Tianhuang continent. There was a vast mountain range that was different from other places. This place was full of vitality. The mountain range was misty, and there seemed to be the aura of thunder and lightning in the air. Chapter 1060. Swoosh, swoosh! Some of the top experts who passed by this space had extraordinary eyesight and perception. They seemed to have sensed something and looked around. However, these top experts didn't discover anything in the end and could only leave with the disciples of the mountain gate. Whoosh! In the air, the little tiger flapped its wings and flew with golden light. Wherever it passed, it swept through like a storm. Sai, should I roast it or stew it? It's too complicated. On the huge tiger's back, Du Xiaofu looked very serious as he looked at the young man in luxurious clothes who was thrown to the side by the restriction. It was the Heaven Wasteland Star-Devouring Python. The Heaven Wasteland Star-Devouring Python looked at Du Xiaofu's serious gaze and was scared out of his wits. He had seen the Demon King, Du Xiaofu, stew the head of the green dragon, roast its meat, and drink its blood with his own eyes. After that, he skinned the yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger and roasted its meat and stewed its bones. The human in front of him was as ferocious as a real Demon King. He was even more ferocious than a ferocious beast. What do you want? If you want to kill me, then kill me. The Heaven Wasteland Star-Devouring Python retracted his trembling gaze. He knew that he had completely lost. Du Xiaofu and that beautiful human woman were both terrifying, especially this Demon King. He wasn't a merciful person, since he was going to die anyway. As the Heaven Wasteland Star-Devouring Python, he couldn't possibly beg for mercy. You're quite arrogant. I've drunk a lot of blood recently. Your blood is no longer tempting to me. I'm magnanimous. Why don't you submit to me as a servant and follow me from now on? Du Xiaofu looked at the Heaven Wasteland Star-Devouring Python and asked. The blood essence of the mysterious Heaven Wasteland Star-Devouring Python would definitely make Du Xiaofu happy if it was in the past. However, Du Xiaofu, who had already cleansed his bones with the blood essence of the Desolation Panther at the half-domain level, had also cleansed his bones with the blood essence of the yellow-patterned, heaven-shaking tiger at the Nirvana Beast Venerable level. At this moment, the temptation of the Heaven Wasteland Star-Devouring Python at the mysterious level was naturally greatly reduced for Du Xiaofu. However, if he could subdue a Heaven Wasteland Star-Devouring Python, it would be a great help. This desolate star-swallowing python was definitely not an ordinary creature. It was not much weaker than the yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger's bloodline. Compared to the desolate sky leopard, it was even slightly stronger. You want me to submit to a human? That's impossible. Even if you kill me, it's impossible. The Heaven Wasteland Star-Devouring Python raised its arrogant head. It was a Heaven Wasteland Star-Devouring Python. How could it submit to a human? It even had a few battle servants back then. As the Heaven Wasteland Star-Swallowing Python, only humans could become his servants. How could he become the servant of a human? How could he face his fellow clansmen when he returned to his clan? He wouldn't even be able to raise his head among the beasts. He was someone who didn't even follow Dragon 9, let alone the yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger. Little tiger, stop! At this moment, Du Xiaoyao suddenly stopped the little tiger in midair. Du Xiaofu also raised his head and looked forward. He immediately frowned. Then, a stream of light shot out from between his brows. An ancient and boundless qi spread out and directly sucked the Heaven Wasteland Star-Swallowing Python into it. Something's not right. There should be a seal in front. On the little tiger's back, Du Xiaofu looked forward again. It was a mountain range shrouded in mist. With his sharp senses and the effect of his vain spirit, he sensed that there was a seal in front. There is a seal, but it seems to be incomplete. However, ordinary people wouldn't be able to discover it. Du Xiaoyao jumped on Du Xiaofu's shoulder. Her talent allowed her to sense the seal. Her pale golden eyes moved slightly as she said, "There seems to be an unusual aura inside. There should be something inside. Can you take us in to have a look?" Du Xiaofu asked Du Xiaoyao. Du Xiaoyao looked at the surrounding people and said to Du Xiaofu, "Although the seal is incomplete, it is still very extraordinary. I can only bring 4 people in at most. You have to bring one." "Okay, I will bring one and leave the rest to you." Du Xiaofu nodded. He had the same vain spirit as Du Xiaoyao and also had the same talent. Although it was not as abnormal as Du Xiaoyao herself, it was enough. Then, when there was no one around, Du Xiaofu activated his vain spirit. Golden light burst out and the mountain vein spirit was almost at the spirit transforming stage. It seemed to have materialized and wrapped around Dongli Chingching. The two immediately entered a void. It was clearly an empty void. However, at this moment, as Du Xiaofu activated the golden mountain vein spirit, a glowing rune light screen suddenly appeared. There seemed to be a passage in it that could lead to another void. When they passed through the light screen, the golden mountain vein spirit disappeared and a barren space suddenly appeared in front of Du Xiaofu. The mountains overlapped like the divine Thunder Mountain Range. Nothing grew there. It was a barren land. Zizi. In the depths of the mountains, there was the sound of electric arcs occasionally. There were electric arcs in the air and on the rocks on the ground. It made Du Xiaofu's thunder martial vein fluctuate for no reason, as if it had felt something. There is life ahead. Du Xiaofu looked ahead. There was no life in this barren mountain range, but there seemed to be life in the depths. There is someone inside. There is more than one. There was a green light in Dongli Chingching's eyes. She had some small magic skills and could sense that there was someone inside the small seal. This is a seal. How can someone come in? Is it one of those super experts? Du Xiaofu was puzzled and his eyes turned serious. Although the seal was not big, its aura was ancient and came from a long time ago. Ordinary people could not come in unless they were super experts. Dongli Chingching shook her head at Du Xiaofu and said softly, "It shouldn't be a super expert. Otherwise, it would be difficult for me to detect their aura so easily. Maybe they have some means or something to rely on to enter this place." Du Xiaofu heard this and felt that it was possible. If he and Du Xiaoyao could come in, it could not be ruled out that someone else had other means or magic skills. Zizi! Not far away, a golden light spread out and twisted the void. A golden mountain stretched out. It was Du Xiaoyao, Little Tiger, Blue Fantasy, Scarlet Rock, and Du Xiaoqing. There are energy waves inside. Du Xiaoyao turned into a little macaque again and landed on Du Xiaofu's shoulder. Her pale golden eyes looked into the depths. There should be something special inside. Hide your aura. Let's sneak in and act according to the situation, Du Xiaofu said to everyone. Everyone nodded and tried their best to hide their aura. Then they approached the depths carefully. In a vast mountain range, there was a huge lake in the middle. On the highest mountain beside the lake, a person sat cross-legged. This person was wearing a black robe and was surrounded by faint lightning. His aura was terrifying and there were talisman runes flashing densely. This person sat cross-legged and was connected to the surroundings. It was as if the energy of heaven and earth in this space was surging and gathering towards him. As the talisman runes in front of him undulated and flashed, his aura was like a vast ocean. It rose and fell like the tides, intimidating this part of the world. If someone was here, they would be shocked. This person was obviously connected to a talisman array. There was a powerful talisman array set up in the surroundings as if it was suppressing something. Behind this person, there were more than 10 people. A few of them were at the honorable realm and were extremely powerful. The other people were also martial emperors. They all emitted powerful auras. I wonder when the vice envoy of the Yin Thunder will arrive. We've been suppressing that thing here for a few days. It's really difficult to hunt. When the vice envoy arrives, we can hunt it directly. That thing's talent is too abnormal. Otherwise, if we join forces, we'll be able to hunt it. It's said that Lord Moksha also came to the Tianhuang continent. That's the Lord of Terror. No one even knows if Lord Moksha is a man or a woman. I heard that Lord Moksha's cultivation is already shocking at such a young age. This time, he came for the divine Thunder Mansion. I'm afraid he wants to compete with Kyushu, the Beast Region, and the Demon Realm. Several people in the surroundings whispered. They were all dressed in black robes and wore black hoods. Only their eyes were exposed. Don't talk about Lord Moksha. That's not something you can talk about. If you don't respect him, you know the consequences. The black-robed person sitting cross-legged on the mountain peak spoke. He was also wearing a black hat. His voice was calm, but there was an invisible, terrifying aura. Upon hearing the words of the black-robed old man, the surrounding martial honorables, whose auras were extremely powerful, revealed solemn expressions in their eyes. They were filled with respect and fear. Lord Moksha was indeed not someone they could talk about with their status in the sect. "We'll use a talisman array to trap that thing. We have to be absolutely safe and wait for the vice envoy to arrive. That thing is extremely important to our sect. We've spent a lot of effort and time to find it. We can't make any mistakes. Otherwise, you know the consequences." The black-robed person, sitting cross-legged, continued to speak. His body was connected to the talisman array, as if he was one with the space. Without a doubt, the black-robed person, sitting cross-legged, was very powerful. Du Xiaofu, Du Xiaoyao, Dongli Qingqing, and the others retracted their auras and carefully advanced. However, they still mistakenly entered a talisman array with an ancient aura. The aura was sharp and revealed a terrifying killing intent. Not good. "We've mistakenly entered a broken array." Blue Fantasy's eyes narrowed. She grew up on the Tianhuang continent and was very clear about some of the terrifying ancient arrays on the continent. Once trapped in a terrifying array, even top experts would die. Chapter 1061. Rumble. The ancient damaged formation trembled. Killing intent filled the air and froze the air. Killing intent began to descend. The killing intent turned into streaks of sharp sword light that fell from the sky, capable of shattering everything. Quick! Almost at the same time, golden light spread out around Du Xiaofu and Du Xiaoyao. It turned into the shadow of a 5-finger mountain, enveloping Dongli Qingqing, Blue Fantasy, and the others. One by one, they disappeared into the air. Waves of murderous intent poured down. As the crowd disappeared, the murderous intent also disappeared mysteriously. The surrounding void became calm and tranquil. "TSK, Tisk!" Several figures broke through the air and appeared on top of a group of peaks. There was a rich fluctuation of heaven and earth energy all around. There was a great aura that made people feel oppressed. Luckily, I can ignore this damaged formation. Otherwise, I would be in trouble. Du Xiaoyao retracted the golden light around her. Her pale golden eyes were filled with pride. This kind of talent was not available to others. There seems to be a large formation here, too. Du Xiaofu retracted his meridian spirit and looked around. This entire space was filled with a strange darkness. There was a huge lake in the middle of the peaks. It was abnormally calm. "There's someone there?" Dongli Qingqing pointed at the tallest peak in front of them. The aura on the peak rippled. There were many people on the peak. Those gazes were also looking over. What's going on? How did someone break into the formation? On the mountain peak, a dozen black-clothed people in black robes, who only revealed their eyes, revealed a stunned expression. Putting aside how strong the incomplete formations outside were, there were dangers everywhere. The simple formation that they had set up was absolutely not something that an ordinary person could barge in. Moreover, they had barged in without causing any commotion. Looking at the age of those people, they were clearly of the younger generation. This made them even more shocked and puzzled. No matter how they broke in, there must be no accidents here. "Kill them all?" A black-robed person sitting cross-legged said. He did not even open his eyes. Yes, more than 10 black-clothed men dashed out, their auras fluctuating as they soared into the sky. Soon after, they appeared around Du Xiaofu, Dongli Qingqing, Du Xiaoyao, and the others. The dozen or so black-clothed men were radiating sun-like rays of light, and their terrifying auras erupted. Every single one of them had powerful auras, and some of them even had lightning auras. Their eyes were cold and killing intent surged. People of the devil religion. Du Xiaofu's gaze immediately turned cold. That identical dress and aura indicated that they were from the devil religion. Trespassers shall die. Within the devil religion, someone spoke. His aura was fierce, and his killing intent spread out. This person had the cultivation of a complete martial saint. Among the 10 or so people aside from the black-clothed man on the mountain peak, he was the strongest. Du Xiaofu did not speak. He looked at the black-clothed men coldly, and killing intent surged out from his eyes. The devil religion colluded with the divine radiance court, and there was no doubt that it was related to the destruction of Tianwu Academy. After that, the devil religion dealt with the 7-star hall and tried to deal with him time and time again. To Du Xiaofu, this was a grudge that was difficult to resolve. Sensing Du Xiaofu's cold aura, Du Xiaoqing, Du Xiaoyao, and the little tiger also knew about the devil religion. Their auras surged as they prepared for battle. "Leave that 4-star martial saint to me. You guys be careful." Dongli Qingqing looked at the black-clothed man who spoke just now and said to Du Xiaofu, Du Xiaoqing, and the others. However, for the past few days, Dongli Qingqing still did not dare to look directly at Du Xiaofu. Every time she looked at him, her delicate face would blush. However, at this moment, Dongli Qingqing's expression turned serious. "Kill." Seeing that the young men and women did not speak and were surging with auras as if they were about to attack, the black-clothed men from the devil religion had a change in expression. One of them shouted. He was a peak Nirvana realm martial saint, and there was a faint flicker of lightning on his body. He was very powerful. Following which, the black-clothed men from the devil religion did not speak anymore. Every one of them was filled with killing intent. Along with the surging of their terrifying auras, blazing runes and lightning surged out, causing the wind and clouds to surge. They pounced towards Du Xiaofu, Dongli Qingqing, and Du Xiaoyao. Rumble. Among these people there were a few martial saints. They could also feel that the young men and women in front of them were not ordinary, so they attacked together. There could not be any accidents in this place. Otherwise, their outcome would be worse than death. The terrifying aura of the black-clothed men surged out like a tidal wave. Rays of attack radiated in all directions, like layers and layers of energy waves sweeping out, drowning the entire space. It was absolutely tyrannical and unparalleled, crushing the heavens. In just a short moment, the Nirvana realm martial saint who attacked first had already appeared less than 10 feet in front of Du Xiaofu. A terrifying palm print and aura swept out. Buzz! Buzz! At the same time, wind and thunder rumbled in front of Du Xiaofu. The purple gold heavenly palace appeared in his hand. The aura of the peerless divine weapon wreaked havoc in the vast sky. The purple gold heavenly palace was like a tiger bone and a dragon bone, like a phoenix facing the sun, like a divine turtle entrenched in the ground. It made one's heart palpitate with excitement, following which Du Xiaofu attacked. Golden light burst out from his eyes as he slashed out with his sword. Chi-la-la! When the sword slashed out, the golden sword radiance connected with the heavens and the earth. Its aura was as vast as the sea, and the sword radiance turned into waves that swept forward. This was not a wave, but a wave formed by the interweaving of terrifying sword radiance. The vast expanse of sword radiance covered the heavens, drowning everything. Chi-la-la! The Nirvana realm martial saint did not even have time to react before he was crushed into pieces by the terrifying sword radiance wave, and his soul was destroyed. Chi! At the same time, Dongli Qingqing's beautiful figure was wrapped in a green light curtain that was full of vitality. A palm print burst out from her slender hand, bringing along a mysterious and terrifying palm print as it blocked the complete martial saint. Roar! Roar! Ji. At the same time, Du Xiaoqing, Little Tiger, and Du Xiaoyao immediately transformed into their huge original forms. The aura of the three of them burst out, whistling through the vast sky and destroying everything. Scarlet Rock and Blue Fantasy were also prepared. They then activated their original forms, and their aura surged like a tide. Kill! Du Xiaofu went on a killing spree. He slashed out with the purple gold heavenly fault in his hand, and several sword radiances swept out. The golden-winged rock behind him activated, and he took the lead to attack the devil religion's martial saint realm expert. When the terrifying sword light descended, the few martial sovereigns at the initial stage and mystical stage were instantly turned into a bloody mist. This was an irreconcilable grudge. Du Xiaofu's killing intent could not be suppressed, and he used the purple-gold heavenly fault in his first attack. This was enough to prove how monstrous Du Xiaofu's killing intent was. In this battle, more than a dozen devil religions experts were killed in this short period of time before they could even react. Whoosh! The golden sword radiance swept out, and in addition to the suppression of the golden winged rock, Du Xiaofu was like a demonic god at this moment. He was divine and peerless, and the third-to-last devil religion's mysterious level martial saint was also easily killed. Of the devil religion's martial saints, only the last martial saint realm expert was left fighting with Du Xiaoyao, and the perfect martial saint realm expert was fighting with Dongli Qingqing. "Damn it, die for me!" A sharp and gloomy roar rang out. The black-clothed man who was sitting cross-legged on the mountain peak appeared in front of Du Xiaofu. His eyes were filled with killing intent, and a vigorous spiritual power swept out, overwhelming Du Xiaofu. 8-star Transcendent Talisman Master. Chapter 1062. Du Xiaofu's eyes trembled at that level of mental attack. That was the cultivation of a transcendent spiritual talisman master, which was equivalent to a transcendent martial venerable. The mental attack of a spiritual talisman master was even more terrifying. No one could be careless under a mental attack. Du Xiaofu instantly felt as if he had been dragged into a whirlpool of soul waves. The terrifying soul attack was all-pervasive, and Du Xiaofu instantly felt as if he had been swept into a whirlpool of soul waves. Du Xiaofu felt as if his mind was being pricked by needles. The mental attack invaded his Naiwen palace and attacked his primordial spirit. The mental attack of a transcendent spiritual talisman master was so terrifying. Du Xiaofu's aura began to weaken. His golden eyes began to glaze over. He had been caught off guard by the mental attack and was unable to stop it. The black-clothed man who had been sitting cross-legged on the mountain peak appeared. His hood fell down, revealing an old man who looked to be in his 60s. His eyes were sunken into his eye sockets, and his nose had a sharp hook, making him look like a black eagle. "Die!" The transcendent spirit talisman master sneered as he looked at Du Xiaofu, who had already become sluggish. His killing intent was not concealed at all. His figure flashed out, and without the slightest delay, a palm print directly fell on the top of Du Xiaofu's head. Qi! Suddenly, just as the transcendent 8-star spiritual talisman master appeared in front of Du Xiaofu, a golden light suddenly surged out from Du Xiaofu's seemingly lifeless eyes. He waved his hand, and a stream of light surged out. Runes shot out and carried a vast and fierce aura as it directly charged towards the transcendent spiritual talisman master. Woo! There was a sharp roar like the cry of a ghost. As the runes exploded, the cloud puppet's body flashed out. The cloud puppet was a terrifying killing machine. It directly punched out and destroyed the 8-star spiritual talisman master's energy stream. Humph! The aftermath of the energy swept out, and the transcendent spiritual talisman master's body was sent flying. A muffled groan came from his throat, and blood flowed out of his mouth. It was obvious that he had suffered a great loss. The cloud puppet had the strength of a peak transcendent martial venerable. It could even fight against a chaotic element martial venerable. When the 8-star transcendent spiritual talisman master used a mental attack, his defense was the weakest. Moreover, the physical body of a spiritual talisman master could not compare to that of a martial artist. Spiritual talisman master was injured in one move. What a strong puppet! The black-clothed old spirit talisman master's expression changed greatly. His eyes, which were filled with fierce killing intent, were filled with seriousness and even extreme fear. That terrifying puppet was too terrifying. There were not many people in the world who could own such a terrifying puppet. "Kid, you're from the Celestial Artifact sect?" The old man exclaimed in surprise. In his impression, only Celestial Artifact sect would be able to possess such a puppet. Du Xiaofu didn't reply. Just now, he had almost been killed by this person's soul attack. Fortunately, his primordial spirit was strong and had been tempered by the purple gold profound bomb. He also had the desolate ancient space to protect his primordial spirit. Yun Jian kill. Du Xiaofu master. Yun Mu was enough to deal with a transcendent, spiritual talisman master. Woo! The cloud puppet had already pounced and swept towards the transcendent spiritual talisman master. Its body was covered in runes and wrapped in a talisman array. Its hollow eyes were filled with killing intent as it bravely advanced. "You think you can deal with me with a puppet?" The transcendent spiritual talisman master shouted angrily. He was a talisman master, but he did not have the time to set up an array in front of the puppet. The transcendent spiritual talisman master was using a 3-colored transcendent spiritual talisman cauldron. It released an extremely powerful pressure. A blazing aura whistled through the sky and blocked the cloud puppet. The transcendent spiritual talisman cauldron occupied the sky. It was surrounded by raging flames, evaporating the mist in the air and distorting the surrounding space. Woo! The cloud puppet was not afraid. Its body leapt up. Its whole body glowed as it pounced towards the transcendent spiritual talisman. At the same time, the protective talisman arrays engraved on the secret weapon manual and sacred body manual glowed, turning into a mysterious talisman pattern to protect its body. The transcendent spiritual talisman cauldron was too extraordinary. It used all of its strength to activate the transcendent spiritual talisman cauldron, causing the surroundings to boil like a sea of flames. Its terrifying pressure made people's souls tremble. However, the cloud puppet was special. It was an absolute killing machine, and a terrifying killing machine whose strength had reached the peak of the transcendent martial saint realm. The transcendent spiritual talisman cauldron was unable to stop it. Rumble. Afterwards, the cloud puppet continuously attacked. The transcendent spiritual talisman master's transcendent spiritual talisman cauldron was struck by the cloud puppet's palm and fist. The transcendent spiritual talisman cauldron was shaken to the point of almost cracking. It was also at this moment that Du Xiaoqing, Little Tiger, Scarlet Rock, and Blue Fantasy transformed into their original forms. They easily killed the martial emperors of the devil religion and swallowed their corpses. Dongli Qingqing, who was only at the peak of the transcendent martial saint realm, was not at a disadvantage when facing a transcendent martial saint. Dongli Qingqing's entire body was suffused with green light enveloping the sky. The resplendent light seemed to carry the might of the heavens and the earth. Not only was the transcendent martial saint unable to gain the slightest advantage, he was also restrained in all aspects. Du Xiaofu also spread his consciousness around and noticed Dongli Qingqing's strength. He was inwardly moved. So, Dongli Qingqing's strength had actually reached such a valiant level. "All of you will die." In this short period of time, more than 10 people had been killed by the few terrifying young beasts. The terrifying puppet was also suppressing him in all aspects, causing the 8-star transcendent spiritual talisman master to roar in anger. The black-clothed old spiritual talisman master took the opportunity to condense a mysterious hand seal. When the last hand seal was condensed, the heavens and the earth began to tremble. Walala! Mysterious runes began to appear high up in the sky, and a vast and terrifying suppressive force descended from the sky. He's using the power of the talisman array. The talisman array here was set up by him. Du Xiaofu frowned slightly. The talisman array was not weak. It was at least a transcendent martial saint realm talisman array. At this moment, the black-clothed old spiritual talisman master was connected to the talisman array. communicating with the energy of the heavens and the earth. He absorbed the energy of the heavens and the earth, and the might of his body suddenly increased greatly. It was as if he could imprison everything. The talisman array was very powerful, but it seemed to only have the power to suppress and restrain. It was not purely an offensive talisman array. However, because of this, the suppressive and restraining power of the talisman array was even more powerful. At this moment, the 8-star, transcendent spiritual talisman, Master, seemed to have already connected with the heavens and the earth. He mobilized the power of the talisman array, communicated with the energy of the heavens and the earth, and activated the spiritual furnace and talisman cauldron. Finally, he blocked the Yunmu. The black-clothed old spiritual talisman, Master, began to suppress the Yunmu. He even turned the tables and began to gain the upper hand. Not only that, at this moment, the spiritual talisman Master froze the surrounding space, imprisoning Du Xiaofu, Dongli Qingqing, Little Tiger, Blue Fantasy, Scarlet Rock, and Du Xiaoyao. Brat, you can go die now. The spiritual talisman Master shouted coldly. After suppressing the Yunmu, he immediately charged at Du Xiaofu again. The spiritual talisman Master could feel that he had completely suppressed the purple-robed youth with his talisman array. The old man was a spiritual talisman master, so he clearly understood that only by getting rid of the purple-robed youth would he be able to get rid of the puppet. At that time, he would even be able to obtain that terrifying and extraordinary puppet. The broadsword in the purple-robed youth's hand was clearly a divine weapon. There were also those demonic beasts. Every single one of them was a terrifying existence. This was his opportunity, a great opportunity that had descended upon him. Bang! The black-clothed old spiritual talisman master's palm descended, drawing the energy of the heavens and the earth. His talisman array carried a vigorous and fierce aura as it swept down like a raging sea. The former's palm flickered with a resplendent radiance, causing the surroundings of the palm to emit oppressive sounds of space. The pressure was like a destructive wave. The black-clothed old spiritual talisman Master wanted to completely suppress and kill Du Xiaofu within his talisman array. Under the suppression of his talisman array, it was impossible for the opponent to have any energy left to carve. A talisman master was the overlord within his own talisman array. He was the most powerful existence, able to control everything. As the palm descended, Du Xiaofu's seemingly suppressed face suddenly revealed a smile. The smile's arc was filled with chilliness. Bang! The former's palm descended, causing the space to explode. Du Xiaofu's body was immediately smashed into pieces. As the energy rippled, he disappeared into the surrounding void. However, as Du Xiaofu's body was smashed into pieces, not a single drop of blood spilled out. An afterimage, this is impossible. The black-clothed old spiritual talisman master's face was filled with astonishment. Everything in front of him was simply impossible. How could that kid disappear for no reason? This was within his talisman array. In just a moment, the black-clothed old spiritual talisman master seemed to have felt something. He suddenly turned around, and behind him he saw Du Xiaofu, who had just disappeared, reappear. His body was filled with mysterious golden talisman patterns, which transformed into a golden, 5-fingered mountain phantom around his body. Under the suppression of his talisman array, the purple-robed youth came and went freely, as if he was not affected at all. Tyrannical soared Wei. The golden wings on his back flapped, and Du Xiaofu's eyes suddenly emitted a golden light. An incomparably tyrannical aura suddenly spread out from his tall and straight body, as if a peerless, ferocious beast was sweeping across the sky. The purple-gold heavenly tower in his hand directly slashed out. Whoosh! This sword was like a force that could split a mountain. There was nothing fancy about it. It was just a simple slash. However, as the sword swept across the sky, the space where the sword light passed by almost directly collapsed, revealing traces of a vacuum. Chapter 1063. A terrifying and domineering energy pressure spread out from the golden sword light, causing the space to shake violently. What a powerful sword intent! The black-clothed old man's eyes changed. He felt a terrifying sword intent sweep out from the sword. That domineering sword aura made him unable to escape. Boom! In a panic, the black-clothed old man quickly changed his hand seals. A stream of energy wrapped around the sword light. The two collided. There was no sound like thunder, only a terrifying energy turned into chi rune ripples. It was like a tsunami that suddenly swept through the surrounding space. Countless sword lights flew out and shattered. Then everything calmed down. Pucci! The black-clothed old man staggered back. He didn't know why, but blood flowed out from his mouth. His eyes were filled with shock. Although he blocked that terrifying sword intent, it was still domineering and greatly affected his primordial spirit. Coupled with the effect of the rune array, his chi and blood surged and he was injured again. Just as the old spirit talisman master staggered to a stop, a dazzling golden light spread behind him like a scorching sun. Suddenly, a huge sparkling and translucent ape appeared. The golden ape was born with spiritual eyes that looked down on everything in the world. It suddenly punched out and landed directly on the old man's back. Bang! There was no movement again. The golden ape suddenly appeared. Its fist was wrapped in a hazy light as if it was the beginning of the world. It seemed to be able to push everything in all directions and suppress everything. There was an indescribable pressure that seemed to be able to make one's primordial spirit explode. Pucci! This punch landed on the unprepared, black-clothed old man's back. As his body was pushed back, he spat out blood again. It's just a rune array. It's useless against me. The golden ape stood with its head held high. Its body was crystal clear like a terrifying lord. Its terrifying aura gave people an unparalleled sense of oppression. Supreme Purity Demon, subduing arrow. In the air not far away, Dongli Qingqing's voice was transmitted. A dazzling cyan light spread out like the sun. The ancient bow in her hand was emitting a terrifying aura. It was as if an ancient god had awoken from a deep slumber. The mysterious power was awakened. She pulled the bowstring and a light arrow condensed from talisman symbols appeared. Then she released the arrow. 1 arrow, 2 arrows, 3 arrows. Dongli Qingqing also seemed to have magical means. Under the suppression of this talisman array, she was not affected much and released 3 arrows in a row. Wherever the 3 light arrows passed, a large area of space was directly distorted, revealing traces of cracks. In a short moment, the 3 rune energy arrows pierced through space with light scars that distorted space. 1 arrow pierced through the ancient beast meridian soul that the perfected martial venerable had summoned. The second arrow pierced through the peak martial venerable's defense and severely injured him. Finally, the third arrow carried a mysterious and vast aura. It devoured life force and plunged into the peak martial venerable's glabella. It directly exploded his head. Even his primordial spirit did not have time to escape. Dongli Qingqing's delicate body staggered back a little. Her beautiful face was pale. The 3 arrows seemed to have exhausted all of Dongli Qingqing's strength. There was a faint trace of blood at the corner of her pale mouth. However, she did not seem to be seriously injured. "Where did you come from?" The black-robed spiritual talisman master was completely stunned. These young men, women, and beasts were all too terrifying, not to mention the strength of the purple-robed youth and the tight-fitting girl. The few demonic beasts that followed them were the Baifeng divine bird, the ancient crimson heavenly flame bull, and the desolate sky leopard. They were definitely not to be followed by ordinary people. "I come from the desolate country, from the 7-star hall." Du Xiaofu spoke. He wanted to take advantage of his weakness to take his life. He waved his purple gold heavenly fault, and the golden rock wings on his back flapped. So you are Du Xiaofu, the Demon King Du Xiaofu." The black-robed, spiritual talisman master was instantly terrified. His eyes trembled and his entire body emitted a chill. He had also heard of the brutal deeds of the Demon King Du Xiaofu. They were currently searching everywhere for the Demon King Du Xiaofu. Who would have thought that the Demon King Du Xiaofu would suddenly appear in front of him today? This Du Xiaofu was too terrifying. He was already so terrifying at such a young age. If he was allowed to grow up, he would probably become a great enemy of the devil religion. Fear, deep fear. The old man knew that the Demon King Du Xiaofu would definitely not let him go. Ka ka! The surrounding talisman array swayed. This talisman array was originally used to suppress the terrifying thing in this space. At this moment, it was being used by the black-robed spiritual talisman master to deal with the Yunmu. In addition, his physical body had been injured several times, and the Yunmu was continuously resisting. Immediately, the talisman array began to sway violently. Kill! Du Xiaofu raised his sword and flapped his wings. He and Du Xiaoyao formed a joint attack and were about to attack the transcendent spiritual talisman master. The black-robed spiritual talisman master retreated. He had never thought that one day he would be beaten into such a sorry state by a mysterious, revered martial artist. Brat, you won't live for long. Once the vice envoy of Een Thunder arrives, you'll be dead for sure. The black-robed spiritual talisman master retreated. He was afraid in his heart, but he pretended to be calm and gloomy. He wanted to scare away the terrifying young Demon King. Du Xiaofu didn't say anything else. He raised the purple-gold heavenly tower in his hand, and a golden sword light directly chopped down. Its aura was overbearing and terrifying. The golden sword light shattered the void and extended towards the former. The black-robed spiritual talisman master still had to use his mind to control the power of the spiritual furnace, talisman cauldron, and talisman array to block the nearby Yunmu. At this moment he was in a panic. Rapidly, a screen of talisman light transformed into a sinister phantom of an ancient beast to resist. Under the sword light, the phantom of the ancient beast was very valiant. It was even able to entangle the golden sword light. Walala, however, in the end, it seemed that the spirit was willing but the strength was insufficient. The two simultaneously annihilated in midair, turning into a large expanse of resplendent talisman fragments. Bang! All of a sudden, a terrifying energy fluctuation rippled across the surface of the lake in the middle of the mountains. Then an extremely strange white thunderbolt swept out and soared into the sky. Along with the white lightning, there were white arcs of electricity erupting above the lake and sweeping in all directions. This white thunderbolt was the size of an infant. It carried a terrifying pressure that made people's hearts stop beating as it pierced through the space and directly bombarded the black-robed spiritual talisman master. In a flash, the speed of the white thunderbolt was inconceivably fast. It immediately swallowed the black-robed spiritual talisman master. Rumble! As if the thunderbolt had exploded, the white thunderbolt swallowed the black-robed spiritual talisman master. Countless white arcs of electricity exploded in the surroundings and danced in the void. One after another, blazing white lightning snakes crazily rippled. Ah! The black-robed spiritual talisman master screamed miserably from within the white thunderbolt. His physical body seemed to have been destroyed in an instant. A ball of light wrapped in talisman patterns flew out. That was the black-robed spiritual talisman master's primordial spirit. His physical body was destroyed, so he used his primordial spirit to escape. Bzzz. However, at this moment, the white arcs of electricity in the surroundings seemed to have formed a huge white lightning spider web, enveloping the void. The terrifying aura of the white thunderbolt rippled like the nemesis of primordial spirits. It easily enveloped the 8-star extraordinary primordial spirit of the black-robed spiritual talisman master. Ah, the black-robed spiritual talisman master's primordial spirit screamed miserably. The talisman patterns around his primordial spirit were destroyed by the white arcs of electricity. His primordial spirit turned into wisps of green smoke and was finally swallowed by the white arcs of electricity until it completely disappeared. The surrounding talisman arrays, following the destruction of the black-robed spiritual talisman master's primordial spirit, immediately began to collapse. The spiritual stove and talisman cauldron that was confronting Yunjan also collapsed. What is that thing? It has vitality and seems to be able to suppress the primordial spirit? Du Xiaofu was astonished. The thunder martial vein in his body began to stir. He could also feel that the white thunderbolt seemed to be able to suppress the primordial spirit. Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit in his mind's mud-pill palace felt the aura of the white thunderbolt at this moment and was faintly trembling. The white arcs of electricity began to descend and return to the surface of the lake, spreading white lightning across the entire lake. The arcs of electricity connected on the lake, causing the entire lake to be filled with waves of electricity. The scene was extremely terrifying. It was unknown when lightning and thunder began to rumble in the sky. The aura was very terrifying. What a terrifying aura. Blue Fantasy, Little Tiger, Scarlet Rock, Du Xiaoqing, and Dongli Qingqing all took the opportunity to come to the side of Du Xiaofu and Du Xiaoyao. All of their gazes were focused on the shocking scene above the lake. Rumble. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled as the center of the lake exploded. Waves of water and white lightning spread out in all directions and soared into the sky. Only when they saw this scene with their own eyes could they feel what kind of visual impact it was. It was too terrifying. Soon after, under the astonished gazes of Du Xiaofu and the others, a gigantic white thunderbolt tree that was over 300 meters tall emerged from the lake. The gigantic white thunderbolt tree's crown, leaves, and trunk were all condensed from white thunderbolts. The tree's roots were rooted in the lake. At this moment, the entire lake had already turned into a sea of white thunderbolts. Rumble. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled in the sky. Winds rose and clouds surged as thunderclaps exploded one after another. As the gigantic white thunderbolt tree appeared, a terrifying aura descended. White divine light fluctuated and the aura was terrifying. Densely packed white electric arcs filled the sky, as if they were about to drown the entire world. Too terrifying. Blue Fantasy, Little Tiger, and the others were trembling. The terrifying aura was about to destroy their souls. Du Xiaofu's gaze was fixed on the gigantic white thunderbolt tree. At this moment, the thunder martial vein in his body was becoming more and more restless. He began to feel that it was difficult to suppress it. It's the spiritual thunder. Dongli Qingqing looked at the gigantic white thunderbolt tree in front of her. A shocked voice came from her pale lips. Chapter 1064. Spirit Thunder. Du Xiaofu's eyes widened. He was no stranger to spirit thunder. The 3,000 jolting lightning on his master weapon was one of them. The devil religion had been searching for his master weapon all these years for the 3,000 jolting lightning. But this was Du Xiaofu's first time seeing spirit thunder with his own eyes. Spirit thunder is extremely rare. It is a strange object in this world, born in this world. It is extremely difficult to capture it, and to subdue it is even harder than ascending to the heavens. Dongli Qingqing said to Du Xiaofu, but rumor has it that if you can get a bolt of spirit thunder to merge into your body, you will gain great benefits. Different types of spirit thunder have different uses. How do you subdue spirit thunder? Du Xiaofu looked at the terrifying giant tree of spirit thunder above the lake. The thunder martial vein in his body wanted to surge out, as if it was being pulled by the most intense force. It is said that if you want to subdue spirit thunder, you have to first destroy its soul. Only then can you merge the spirit thunder into your body. But spirit thunder is not an ordinary thing. Once the physical body of an ordinary person comes into contact with spirit thunder, it will be enough to destroy it. Dongli Chingching looked at the giant tree of spirit thunder above the lake and frowned slightly. This bolt of spirit thunder is born in the Tianhuang mainland. It might be related to the divine Thunder Manor. It is said that the strongest power of Jinlei Tensei was related to thunder. From the aura, it seems that this bolt of white spirit thunder can naturally suppress the primordial spirit and even devour the primordial spirit's intelligence. I'm afraid that our chances of getting it are 0. Crackle! White lightning covered the sky and earth. The giant tree of white lightning moved quickly in the lake. A bolt of white lightning swept over, like a demon god baring its fangs and brandishing its claws. The white lightning was too bright. This spirit thunder had taken the initiative to attack. For some reason, its target was Dongli Chingching. That terrifying white lightning carried a terrifying pressure that could suppress everyone's primordial spirit and soul. Du Shaoqing, Little Tiger, Blue Fantasy, and Scarlet Rock all had to circulate their cultivation techniques to block it. Be careful! Du Xiaofu's figure blocked in front of Dongli Chingching. With a wave of his hand, a golden light swept out, turning into a golden light that exploded and blocked it. Crackle! The golden crackle Atlas Studios when the Crackle Rock editor. Lucas the golden crackle and rock ball. Thump thump! Under the terrifying force, Du Xiaofu's body was continuously pushed back. His body was covered with white electric arcs, and his hair stood on end. His purple robe fluttered, and the golden wings of the golden rock also overflowed with electric arcs. Crackle! The huge thunder tree disappeared into the vast lake, and everything calmed down in an instant. It was as if it had disappeared into thin air. Boom! Under the shocked gazes of Scarlet Rock, Du Shaoqing, and Blue Fantasy, the sky suddenly trembled. The white rock thunder red rock that had just disappeared turned into a dazzling ball of white lightning. It was as if a bright moon had descended. Accompanied by a terrifying pressure, it appeared above Dongli Chingching's head like a ghost. Dongli Chingching's eyes turned pale. She stepped out with the wave-like, carefree steps. Her figure was like a ghost. Dazzling green runes burst out as she tried to escape, but everything was too late. The White Rock Thunder Red Rock editor, Lucas the Rock Thunder Red Rock editor, Lucas the Rock editor, Lucas the Rock editor, Lucas the Rock editor, Lucas the Rock editor, Lucas not good. Dongli Chingching's face changed. A mysterious and terrifying energy burst out from her body and protected her. Zap, zap! Du Xiaofu stabilized his body as the white electric arcs surged into his body. The terrifying destructive energy poured out like a torrential flood. At the same time, the thunder martial vein in Du Xiaofu's body surged and swallowed the white thunder force that entered his body. It seemed that it was not enough. Ching-ching. When Dongli Chingching was in danger, Du Xiaofu's expression also changed greatly at the same time. He flapped his golden rock wings and rushed toward the spiritual thunder. The white thunderbolt wrapped around Dongli Chingching. She didn't seem to want to stay any longer. She instantly tore through the air and disappeared. Du Xiaofu flapped his wings and chased after him. His figure turned into a golden flash of lightning and suddenly tore through the sky and left. Let's leave this place first. Du Xiaoyao's huge golden ape body turned into a golden macaque. She said to Du Shaoqing, Scarlet Rock, Little Tiger, and Blue Fantasy, the white spiritual thunder was too fast. When Du Xiaofu urged his arterial spirit to leave the ancient array, the white spiritual thunder had already disappeared in midair. Du Xiaofu's figure floated in midair. The thunder, martial vein in his body was still restless. He seemed to have felt something and immediately flapped his wings to chase after it. It seems to be chasing forward. Du Xiaoyao and the others came out of the array and looked in the direction where Du Xiaofu disappeared. Du Xiaoyao could sense it and quickly led the group in that direction. The speed of the white spiritual lightning was too fast, and it was also silent and undetectable. Du Xiaofu chased after it all the way. If it wasn't for the thunder martial vein in his body that gave him a special sense, he wouldn't have been able to catch up. Even so, Du Xiaofu was left far behind as he chased after it all the way. He could only feel the traces of the white spirit thunder from afar. After a few hours, Du Xiaofu's figure appeared above a dark valley. It was quiet all around. There weren't even any traces of savage beasts. There's an ancient array. Du Xiaofu felt that there were traces of the ancient array's aura. He urged his arterial spirit and carefully plunged into it. Qi. When Du Xiaofu's figure appeared again, he was in a void. There were runes fluctuating around him. An aura that was exactly the same as the white spiritual thunders was rippling around. The void was filled with white electric arcs that gave off an aura that made one's primordial spirit tremble. Sizzle. Not far away in the void, there was a space rippling. The palpitating white lightning intertwined, and a terrifying pressure filled the air. It gave off an aura that could destroy one's primordial spirit. Du Xiaofu could feel that the aura of the white spiritual thunder was inside. He gritted his teeth and immediately rushed into the entrance of the white spiritual thunder space. Suddenly, a terrifying white spiritual thunder surged, as if it wanted to destroy Du Xiaofu. The white thunder destroyed his physical body and wanted to destroy his primordial spirit. It was as if it wanted to devour Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit. In the void, the terrifying energy could cause cracks to appear in the space at any time. It was enough to destroy the physical body of an ordinary nirvana realm or even a complete, revered martial artist into pieces. If one didn't have special skills, he wouldn't be able to exist in the entrance. But Du Xiaofu wasn't an ordinary, revered martial artist. Not to mention that he had the thunder martial vein and a strong physical body. Even his physical body had been refined by the purple-gold profound thunder. The terror of the purple-gold profound thunder was definitely above the white thunder. The passage wasn't long. After a while, Du Xiaofu's eyes lit up. It was as if he had reached the end of the passage. Du Xiaofu suddenly increased his strength and plunged out like lightning. Sizzle! When Du Xiaofu plunged out of the white electric arcs, a glaring light appeared. He couldn't help but squint his eyes. It was almost impossible to look at it directly. After a few breaths, Du Xiaofu realized that he had appeared in the white thunder space. In the void, white electric arcs covered the heaven and earth. An unusually violent energy that made one's primordial spirit tremble filled the space. In the lightning space ahead, the white spiritual lightning that was chasing after them had turned into a huge lightning tree that was 1,000 feet tall. It stood there as if it covered the sky, and the white lightning around it entangled Dong, Li, and Qing. Chapter 1065. Du Xiaofu's eyes narrowed. At this moment, Dong Li Qing was surrounded by a mysterious and terrifying aura. She was resisting the white lightning, emitting a terrifying pressure. The white lightning seemed to want to destroy Dong Li Qing's defense, but it didn't seem to be an easy task. Du Xiaofu, leave quickly. This spirit lightning isn't something you can handle. Dong Li Qing's voice rang out from within the bright green light. A mysterious and terrifying energy rippled from her body. Although she was trapped, Dong Li Qing could still struggle. However, the situation didn't seem optimistic. How can I leave you alone? Du Xiaofu looked at the giant lightning tree in front of him. Golden light rippled in his eyes. Countless ideas flashed through his mind. It seemed that he didn't have much confidence in dealing with the spirit lightning in front of him. That Devil Religion's transcendent spirit talisman master was directly killed by this spirit lightning. This spirit lightning is a strange object of heaven and earth. It's not easy to deal with. You'll die. Leave quickly. Dong Li Qing shouted. At this moment, she could feel how terrifying this spirit lightning was. She knew that Du Xiaofu was strong and savage, But what she was facing now was a spirit lightning. If I die, then I die. It's not like I haven't died before. Du Xiaofu smiled faintly. The golden rock wings on his back flapped. After thinking about it, he didn't know if his thunder martial veins and purple thunder profound cauldron had any confidence in dealing with the spirit lightning. If you die, how will you reunite with your family? How will you protect everything you want to protect? Leave now. Dongli Qingqing shouted. She was already trapped by this spirit lightning. She didn't want to see him trapped too. It was enough that he chased after this spirit lightning for her. Hearing Dongli Qingqing's words, Du Xiaofu's gaze trembled. Then he looked at Dongli Qingqing and a faint smile appeared on his face. He said, "You're my woman. Naturally, you're my family. Now, you're everything I want to protect. If I have to die, then I'll die with you." "You? What nonsense are you talking about? Since when am I your woman?" Dongli Qingqing was stunned for a moment. There was a strange fluctuation in the depths of her eyes. Those words made her shy, but she was happy to hear them. Don't forget you've already kissed me." Du Xiaofu smiled, but his eyes was only looking at the sky, and he didn't let's. "If you talk about that again, I won't let you off." Dongli Qingqing's face reddened. She had no choice but to use all her strength to activate her mysterious and terrifying aura to resist the white lightning. Human, soul, great nourishment. The white lightning tree opened its mouth. A ferocious head loomed on the huge trunk. Boom! Suddenly, a shocking white lightning pierced through space and silently appeared around Du Xiaofu, enveloping Du Xiaofu. Surrounded by white lightning, the lightning spread in all directions, enveloping the sky. With a rumbling sound, it resounded in Du Xiaofu's ears. Du Xiaofu's expression changed. The golden wings on his back immediately protected him. Boom! The explosion was like thunder. Countless white lightning bolts exploded on Du Xiaofu's wings. Under the huge impact, Du Xiaofu spat out a mouthful of blood. The lightning bolts surged into his body. However, that was all. The terrifying lightning bolts surged into his body and were immediately absorbed by the thunder martial vein. "Do you really think I'm easy to bully?" Du Xiaofu shouted. He wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth in his purple robe. A purple gold light suddenly spread out from his palm. The purple thunder profound cauldron appeared in Du Xiaofu's palm. It immediately turned into a huge, three-legged cauldron that hung upside down in the sky. Boom! The lightning space suddenly trembled violently. The wind and clouds in the sky surged. Purple gold thunderclouds gathered out of nowhere. Lightning flashed and thunder roared. A large amount of purple gold lightning gathered in the sky. Such a destructive aura made people tremble in fear. Rumble! The explosion spread in the sky. The sky and earth trembled continuously. Purple gold lightning raged. It was as if countless bombs had exploded in the sky. The destructive energy spread. The surrounding sky and earth seemed to be about to be destroyed. If the white spiritual thunder was the nemesis of the primordial spirit, it was a terrifying existence. At this moment, the purple thunder profound cauldron was destructive. It was like the king of lightning. The pressure from the purple thunder profound cauldron was not something the white spiritual thunder could compare to. However, Du Xiaofu's strength was not enough to reach the strongest level of the purple thunder profound cauldron. At this moment, the white spiritual thunder seemed to have sensed something. The huge lightning tree fluctuated violently. The surrounding lightning space rippled. It was as if it had turned into a lightning pool. There were also loud rumbling sounds of thunder that continuously spread out from the lightning pool, causing one's heart to tremble. The white lightning arcs were like silver snakes that continuously exploded in all directions. "This is the key," Du Xiaofu muttered. He felt that the purple thunder profound cauldron seemed to be able to suppress the white spiritual thunder. He secretly heaved a sigh of relief. Taking a step forward, Du Xiaofu activated the purple thunder profound cauldron with his mind. A terrifying purple-gold lightning vortex gathered in the surrounding purple-gold lightning. Roar. Suddenly, a roar came from the lightning pool where the white lightning bolts gathered. The lightning gathered and turned into a ferocious white lightning beast. This lightning beast was like a tiger and a wolf. It had a pair of wings and lightning bolts. It charged directly at Du Xiaofu. Go! Du Xiaofu shouted. The purple thunder profound cauldron spun and suddenly appeared in front of him. Around the cauldron, purple gold lightning gathered to form a vortex. It was as if a terrifying purple gold black hole had appeared. As the purple gold lightning vortex appeared, the ferocious lightning beast's eyes were filled with fear. It seemed to be pulled by a huge force and was directly pulled into the purple thunder profound cauldron. Sizzle. At the same time, the lightning in the surrounding white lightning pool seemed to be pulled by some invisible force. It was as if it was involuntarily and was not controlled by the spiritual thunder. It madly rushed towards the purple thunder profound cauldron. Rumble! The terrifying lightning swept out, and the heaven and earth trembled. The lightning raged as if there were countless bombs exploding. It was ear-piercing and dizzying. However, this seemingly violent white lightning disappeared the moment it came into contact with the purple thunder profound cauldron. It immediately disappeared into the purple thunder profound cauldron. Countless bolts of lightning flashed and danced crazily. Along with the rumbling sound of thunder, they swept towards the purple lightning profound cauldron from all directions. However, in the end, they all disappeared into the purple thunder profound cauldron. It did not even shake the purple thunder profound cauldron. At this moment, the purple thunder profound cauldron was like a bottomless pit. It allowed the white lightning to sweep in and did not move at all. All of this surprised Du Xiaofu. He did not expect the purple thunder profound cauldron to have such an effect. It seemed to be able to suppress the white spiritual thunder. Damn it! At this moment, the huge white lightning tree roared angrily. It seemed to have felt fear. The huge tree moved horizontally in midair like a demon god. It exploded with huge lightning bolts that covered the sky and earth. It was as if the heavenly lightning had descended and punished all living things. It suppressed the purple thunder profound cauldron. The purple thunder profound cauldron moved. The huge cauldron spun, and a shocking purple gold lightning energy spread out. It was as if it had turned into countless purple gold spiritual snakes that shuttled through the void. The oppressive lightning made one's hair stand on end and felt a chill in one's heart. Under the convergence of the purple lightning, the huge white lightning tree was stunned. It seemed to be even more afraid of the purple gold profound cauldron. In a short moment, the terrifying purple gold lightning vortex in the purple thunder profound cauldron seemed to have undergone an invisible change. The purple thunderbolts instinctively drew the white thunderbolts in the sky, swallowing the white thunderbolts that were like lightning punishments. Rumble! In the end, the purple gold lightning vortex in the purple thunder profound cauldron turned into a terrifying purple gold lightning that spread out. A rumbling sound reverberated in midair. The purple gold lightning energy that filled the sky was so terrifying. It was simply destructive. Suddenly, the entire space trembled violently. The aura was so destructive that it could destroy the heavens and earth. The purple thunder profound cauldron expanded and covered the sky. It was upside down towards the huge white lightning tree. In the end, even the huge white lightning tree was pulled in by a huge force. It was shrouded and could not escape. Bang, bang, bang. The golden lightning in the upside-down, purple thunder profound cauldron was raging. It was as if countless bombs had exploded. The destructive power fell from the 9 heavens. No! At this moment, the white lightning tree seemed to have felt something. The huge lightning tree dispersed, and the white lightning bolts were swallowed by the purple thunder profound cauldron. It was simply unstoppable. Chapter 1066. Sizzle! The white lightning surrounding Dongli Chingching gradually dissipated as it was swallowed by the purple lightning profound cauldron. The purple gold profound lightning shot out from the purple lightning profound cauldron and swallowed the white lightning. Bang, bang, bang. In the sky above this space, purple gold thunderclouds gathered, and the low rumble of thunder resounded in this world. How can this be? A shaky voice sounded. The white lightning tree crumbled and was swallowed by the purple lightning profound cauldron. It was involuntarily sucked in. At this moment, even Du Xiaofu was surprised. The purple lightning profound cauldron did not need to be controlled by him at all. It was swallowing the white lightning on its own. Sizzle! The white lightning tree became smaller and smaller. It exploded with silver lightning, but it could not stop the purple lightning profound cauldron from swallowing it. Swoosh! The crumbling white lightning tree dissipated. Suddenly, an exceptionally bright silver lightning flashed out, breaking free from the purple thunder profound cauldron's devouring. It appeared directly in front of Du Xiaofu at an incomparably terrifying speed. Rumble! Du Xiaofu was shocked. A terrifying aura that made one's soul tremble rushed towards him. Suddenly, a golden light burst out and his wings flapped to protect himself. Swoosh! However, the brightest lightning exploded with an aura that Du Xiaofu could not resist. It penetrated through all openings and went straight into Du Xiaofu's forehead. Boom! At this moment, the white lightning entered his body. A monstrous aura that could destroy one's primordial spirit swept through Du Xiaofu's mind. The terrifying aura was destructive. It was as if it could destroy one's primordial spirit in an instant. Du Xiaofu's soul could not resist. It was the nemesis of primordial spirits. Not good. Du Xiaofu was shocked. The terrifying white lightning entered his mind. For the first time, Du Xiaofu felt that he was so close to death. It was as if he was about to be destroyed. The white lightning was the nemesis of primordial spirits. It could destroy all primordial spirits and even swallow his own primordial spirit for its own use. At this moment, Du Xiaofu could only activate his thunder martial veins to protect himself. Boom! Just as Du Xiaofu was about to activate his lightning martial vein, the lightning martial vein, which was already eager to give it a try, could no longer be suppressed and directly surged out when the white thunderbolt entered his glabella. In an instant, the thunder martial vein in Du Xiaofu's body surged and covered his entire body. A magnificent and desolate aura spread out, channeling the purple gold electric arcs into his mind and enveloping the white thunderbolts. Suddenly, the white lightning trembled, and fear filled Du Xiaofu's mind. Facing the trembling of Du Xiaofu's thunder martial vein, the white thunderbolt immediately retreated as if it had seen its greatest fear. White thunderbolts exploded in Du Xiaofu's mind and attacked his entire body. The white lightning struck and drilled into Du Xiaofu's bones, muscles, blood vessels, cells, and internal organs, causing Du Xiaofu unbearable pain. However, the thunder martial vein surged out of his body and swallowed all the white thunderbolts. High up in the sky, Du Xiaofu's figure trembled. The blazing glow of lightning around his body was like a rising sun, and countless dazzling lightning talisman markings covered the heavens and the earth as they suffused the sky like purplish gold lightning serpents that shuttled through the sky. PFFF! Dongli Chingching fell to the ground and spat out dark red blood. She looked up nervously at the sky and saw the young man wrapped in purple gold electric arcs. After a while she was shocked and said, "Thunder martial vein, that's the thunder martial vein that disappeared." Could he be a member of that clan that disappeared? The white thunderbolts surged in Du Xiaofu's body, and the thunder martial vein in his body directly absorbed them. The surrounding purple gold electric arcs overflowed as the thunder martial vein greedily absorbed the white thunderbolts. Rumble! The space trembled, and for some reason, many white thunderbolts began to roar in the air. An endless stream of white thunderbolts landed on Du Xiaofu's body. The purple thunder profound cauldron had already calmed down in the air. However, the endless stream of white thunderbolts continued to be absorbed by Du Xiaofu's thunder martial vein. After the white thunderbolts were absorbed by the thunder martial vein, Du Xiaofu could feel that the thunder martial vein was changing. It seemed to be faintly strengthening. The white thunderbolts were like nourishment for the thunder martial vein. Ah! Du Xiaofu screamed. Although the thunder martial vein could absorb the white spiritual thunderbolts, the excruciating pain in his body made Du Xiaofu feel so much pain that he wished he was dead. The violent energy impact seemed to be tearing Du Xiaofu's body apart. Most importantly, in Du Xiaofu's mind, the most dazzling white thunderbolt was entrenched. The pressure it released wanted to destroy the primordial spirit. However, at this moment, Du Xiaofu's thunder martial vein was also suppressing the most dazzling white thunderbolt. However, for the thunder martial vein, the mind seemed to be the weakest part. It could only suppress the white thunderbolt and not go forward. It could not completely destroy the white thunderbolt. The terrifying pressure released by the white thunderbolt made Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit miserable beyond words. If not for the fact that Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit had been tempered by the purple gold profound bomb, and the fact that the primordial spirit had undergone an extremely different transformation due to the mysterious, incomplete cultivation technique, he would have been defeated long ago. Walala! Suddenly, at this moment, as if sensing the threat of his primordial spirit being destroyed, a dazzling talisman rune flashed in Du Xiaofu's mind's Naiwen Palace. The dazzling talisman rune appeared in Du Xiaofu's mind like a spider web. An ancient and mysterious aura spread and turned into a terrifying energy that directly covered the dazzling white thunderbolt. Roar! The dazzling white thunderbolt exploded. An electric arc rushed out and turned into a ferocious thunderbolt head that wanted to rush out of the cover of the talisman rune. Boom! The talisman rune was wrapped in a dazzling divine light. It seemed as if there was a supreme aura spreading. It wanted to suppress the world and destroy everything that came from outside, causing the surrounding space to rumble endlessly. Sizzle, sizzle. The ferocious thunderbolt head was only in a stalemate for a moment before it was directly destroyed by the talisman rune that covered it. In Du Xiaofu's mind, white thunderbolts surged and attacked his Naiwen Palace. Then, the thunderbolt head shattered and turned into a dim, white thunderbolt light that floated in Du Xiaofu's mind. Ah! An intense scream came out of Du Xiaofu's mouth. It was like a roar, shaking the world to the point that it wanted to turn the world upside down. The ferocious thunderbolt head shattered. The terrifying impact and pressure made Du Xiaofu unable to resist, and he screamed. Then his primordial spirit suffered a violent impact, and his entire Naiwen Palace trembled. Du Xiaofu's mind also lost consciousness, and his body fell from the sky. Bang! Du Xiaofu's body fell to the ground. The purple lightning mysterious cauldron that was hovering in the air quietly turned and directly entered Du Xiaofu's body. Xiaofu! Dongli Qingqing shouted. Her beautiful face turned pale. She rushed over, but was unable to get close in the end. Du Xiaofu's body fell to the ground, but his body was still wrapped in a layer of flickering thunderbolt light. Purple electric arcs overflowed. After devouring the white thunderbolt, Du Xiaofu's thunder martial vein aura became stronger and stronger. It was filled with a supreme pressure that made Dongli Qingqing unable to get close. Dongli Qingqing was worried, but she felt relieved when she felt Du Xiaofu's aura. Although he had fainted and seemed to have lost consciousness, his vitality was not reduced and his aura was still the same. In this space, the last white thunderbolt was absorbed by the thunder martial vein in Du Xiaofu's body. As the thunder martial vein's aura became stronger, there was also a stream of energy that seeped out of the thunder martial vein and poured into the body. It was like returning to the origin, like the reverse flow of the sea, causing the unconscious Du Xiaofu's aura to start rising directly. Covered by the thunder martial vein, Du Xiaofu's mind lost consciousness at this moment. However, the mysterious, incomplete cultivation technique in his body was triggered and started to operate on its own. It also started to emit an ancient white light, like a divine light shrouding him. No one could see what was happening in Du Xiaofu's mind. As the mysterious, incomplete cultivation technique operated, it absorbed everything. In Du Xiaofu's mind, the last white thunderbolt that was destroyed by the dazzling, mysterious runes quietly dimmed in his mind. However, at this moment, it was also involved by the mysterious, incomplete cultivation technique and started to be refined gradually. Finally, it started to integrate into Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit. Chapter 1067. In the Naiwen Palace in Lin Fan's mind, the shrunken figure of Du Xiaofu's essence soul fell into a deep sleep. However, as the mysterious, incomplete cultivation technique refined the dim, white thunderbolt, the white thunderbolt fused directly into Du Xiaofu's unconscious essence soul. There was an additional white electric arc in Du Xiaofu's essence soul. The dim white thunderbolt did not seem very dim, but it was extremely difficult to refine. It also turned into an endless stream of white electric arc that connected to the essence soul, allowing Du Xiaofu's essence soul to fuse with the white electric arc. Du Xiaofu, who was unconscious, was completely unaware of all this. Only the thunder martial vein and the mysterious, incomplete cultivation technique in his body were circulating on their own. Also, the two auras in Du Xiaofu's body were rising continuously. The speed at which the auras rose was like a rocket. Dongli Qingqing, who was not far away, could only watch with her mouth agape. The power of the white thunderbolt that was originally devoured by the thunder martial vein in Du Xiaofu's body was now surging into Du Xiaofu's body while he was in a deep sleep. This power had already been refined by the thunder martial vein and turned into a pure surge of energy that surged into Du Xiaofu's body. Du Xiaofu had the cultivation of a mysterious, martial, venerable. However, the power that the white thunderbolt had turned into was also extremely huge. It was endless and surging. Dongli Qingqing did not know what to do. She did not know the situation and did not dare to act rashly. Even Dongli Qingqing, who was wrapped in the thunder martial vein, could not get close to Du Xiaofu's body. Then, Dongli Qingqing could only take elixirs to regulate her breathing and wait quietly at the side. As time passed, everyone in Tianhuang mainland approached the vicinity of Thunder Rolling Mountain and surged towards it. The mountain peak, the setting sun, the rosy glow. A figure stood there quietly, shrouded in the light. His face was white and fair, revealing an angular curve. The shape of his lips was especially beautiful, as if he was showing off his nobility and elegance. This was an absolutely handsome man. He looked to be around 28 or 29 years old. He was so handsome that he definitely wouldn't lose out to Yin Machin and the other handsome men, especially under those long and curly eyelashes. There was a pair of eyes that were as clear as morning dew, with a faint charm. Welcome, sect master. On the mountain peak, there were still hundreds of figures bowing to salute. Other than the 2 honorable realm cultivators and a dozen martial royal realm cultivators, the rest were young men and women. Their temperaments were extraordinary and their auras were not weak. The young men and women of the younger generation might not be particularly outstanding in Tianhuang mainland at this moment, but if they were on a separate continent, they would definitely be the cream of the crop among the younger generation. They were all dragons and phoenixes among men. Rise. The young man waved his sleeves, gesturing for the people behind him to rise. He was wearing a dark purple satin robe. Not only did it reflect a faint purple glow under the rosy glow, but it also looked comfortable and elegant on his body. Sect master, old Cain is dead. He was killed by the Demon King. A beautiful, middle-aged woman spoke. She gasped when she heard about the Demon King's deeds that had recently spread across Tianhuang mainland. Demon King! The young man raised his head slightly. His hair was tied up high, and his long hair flowed down his back like flowing water. He smiled faintly. That smile seemed to have a beauty that didn't differentiate between gender, giving people a soul-stirring charm. At this moment, there were many female disciples on the mountain peak. Their eyes were filled with infatuation, as if they couldn't wait to be loved by him. "Where is Du Xiaofu now?" The young man in dark purple robes spoke. His voice was filled with a gentle charm that was enough to make all the women fall head over heels for him. "Sect Master, the Demon King Du Xiaofu appeared in the west a few days ago. It was said that he had killed a Nirvana Beast Master level yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger and ate it." The beautiful woman spoke and gasped. It was rumored that the Demon King was absolutely savage. She had personally witnessed how terrifying the Demon King Du Xiaofu was. Even though he wasn't old, he was enough to strike fear in others. "You guys continue to head to Thunder Rumbling Mountain. You'll have to pay the price for killing people of my sect," the young man spoke. The moment he finished speaking, his figure had already disappeared into thin air. Humph! When Du Xiaofu woke up, a terrifying force surged into his body. He wasn't paying attention, and his qi and blood surged. He groaned and almost spat out blood. Feeling the terrifying force surging into his body, Du Xiaofu immediately sat down cross-legged and formed a hand seal. His mind probed into his body and immediately felt a surge of energy from the thunder martial vein surging into his body. This surge of energy should be the energy formed after the thunder martial vein swallowed the white spiritual thunder. It had the aura of thunder and lightning. The white spiritual thunder was extremely powerful. Even though most of its energy was swallowed by the purple lightning profound cauldron, the remaining energy seemed to be the purest. Under the effect of the thunder martial vein, it turned into a surge of pure qi. It didn't even need to be refined before it surged into his god's watchtower. In his mind's Niwen palace, the originally dim white spiritual thunder was actually being refined by the mysterious, incomplete cultivation technique. In the end, it was used by him and merged into his primordial spirit. As the white spiritual thunder merged into his primordial spirit, Du Xiaofu could clearly feel that he had become one with the white spiritual thunder. His primordial spirit was strengthening at a terrifying speed. His aura was rising. Regardless of whether it was the aura of martial arts or talisman Taoism, it was rising violently. It seemed that Du Xiaofu could continue to break through in an extremely short period of time. Mysterious Martial honored Mysterious 8-star Talisman Master and Du Xiaofu, regardless of the size of his god's watchtower or the strength of his primordial spirit, if he wanted to continue breaking through, it was definitely not something that could be compared to the energy required by someone of the same cultivation level. However, at this moment, the energy that the white spiritual thunder could provide, regardless of whether it was qi or primordial spirit, was vast and boundless. It seemed to be endless. Unknowingly, in this strange space, lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. Boom! A vast amount of energy from heaven and earth permeated the void. In the end, it turned into a terrifying energy vortex and crazily surged into Du Xiaofu's body, who was sitting cross-legged. Could it be that he's going to break through again? Dongli Qingqing woke up and looked at the movement in the sky. Then, she felt the rising aura from Du Xiaofu's body. Her eyes widened in shock as she looked at the scene in front of her in disbelief. After a few hours in the sky, where lightning flashed and thunder rumbled, starlight started to revolve. Purple flames filled the air and dazzling golden runes surged. At this moment, domineering energy fluctuated in the sky. It was like a vast ocean, like a golden rainbow across the sky. Boom! The surrounding space shook as if it had caused the heavens and earth to tremble. It was shocking. After 2 hours, Du Xiaofu's rising aura seemed to have reached a critical point. The aura that had been rising rapidly earlier also gradually stopped. Bang! However, in just a short moment, a low sound rang out from the god's watchtower in Du Xiaofu's body. The aura that had stopped around Du Xiaofu suddenly rose even more violently. Then it stepped into a new realm, and a terrifying aura swept across the sky. Boom! At the same time, under Dongli Qingqing's shocked gaze, a second aura rose from Du Xiaofu's body and gathered the energy of heaven and earth. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's body was like a bottomless pit. Under the irrigation of the energy of heaven and earth, he was endlessly absorbing all the vast energy. He's a nirvana martial saint now. He's also making a breakthrough in the Tao of talismans. Dongli Qingqing looked at Du Xiaofu, who was floating in the air from afar. Her eyes were filled with shock as she muttered, "Could he have fused with that spiritual lightning?" Boom! After another hour, the surging energy of heaven and earth in the surroundings started to disperse. At this moment, the second aura from Du Xiaofu's body had reached a new level. Dazzling white divine light rippled with an ancient aura. Accompanied by silver lightning, everything gradually calmed down. Chi! When everything completely calmed down, the surroundings returned to normal. Du Xiaofu's eyelashes trembled slightly. His tightly shut eyes trembled slightly before suddenly opening. Within his eyes, 2 blazing bolts of purple gold lightning shot out. Chapter 1068. The purple gold lightning in his eyes shot up into the sky. Rumble! The lightning flashed, and the space trembled violently. A terrifying thunder power filled the sky. After a while, the countless lightning flashes pierced through the space and disappeared. What a powerful aura! Dongli Qingqing stood up and looked at the man sitting cross-legged. Her eyes were filled with shock and then joy. Phew! His aura gradually calmed down. Du Xiaofu spat out a mouthful of turbid air from his abdomen, shaking the space. After that, Du Xiaofu peeked into his body. At this moment, his celestial qi was rolling like a vast ocean in the vast spirit watchtower. Compared to the mysterious martial honorable level, the celestial qi in his body and the aura on his body were many times stronger. It was as if his entire body had the power to destroy everything. Most importantly, in his primordial spirit in his Naiwen palace, Du Xiaofu could clearly feel that his illusory primordial spirit was now covered with a layer of silver lightning. Du Xiaofu knew that this was the original white spiritual thunder. Only Du Xiaofu knew that the last exceptionally bright white spiritual thunder was in his Naiwen palace. Its intelligence was destroyed by his spirit root. What was left was a pure spiritual thunder soul seed. In the end, it was also refined by the mysterious, incomplete technique and integrated into his primordial spirit. A message also appeared in his primordial spirit. Silver net soul-devouring lightning. Du Xiaofu muttered softly. This was the message he received from the last exceptionally bright white spiritual thunder soul seed. The last dazzling white thunderbolt was the spiritual thunderbolt's spiritual thunderbolt soul seed. It was like a person's primordial spirit. The silver net soul devouring lightning soul seed wanted to destroy Du Xiaofu's spirit root in order to survive. However, in the end, it was destroyed by Du Xiaofu's spirit root and erased its intelligence. Then, it merged with Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit. From the message in the silver net soul-devouring lightning, Du Xiaofu knew that the silver net soul-devouring lightning was the nemesis of all souls. It could devour all souls to strengthen itself and suppress the primordial spirit. Even the 8-star transcendent spirit talisman master of the devil religion could kill and devour primordial spirits. The silver net soul-devouring lightning's primordial spirit was Thunder's soul seed. As long as the silver net soul-devouring lightning was, it could destroy the primordial spirit without leaving a trace. Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit had fused with the soul seed of the silver net soul-devouring lightning, and he seemed to have obtained this ability because of this. Lucky chance. My character is really good. Feeling everything in his body, Du Xiaofu smiled. Not to mention that he had obtained the most important spiritual thunder. His martial arts and talisman Taoism had also taken a step forward. Du Xiaofu knew very well that if he relied on his own cultivation to make a breakthrough, he would not know how long it would take. No matter how good his talent was, it would take him at least a year or even longer to devour more demonic beast essence blood and make demonic beast tonic soup, even in the desolate ancient space. At the original level of mysterious martial venerable and 8-star mysterious spirit talisman master, the amount of energy needed to make a breakthrough was huge. It would take a long time just to accumulate energy through cultivation alone. You got the spiritual thunder. Dongli Qingqing's graceful figure came to Du Xiaofu's side and asked with a little surprise and joy, "The silver net soul-devouring lightning has been integrated into my primordial spirit." Du Xiaofu smiled and stood up. He stretched his body, and the bones in his body wriggled and made cracking sounds. The light in his eyes disappeared and became clear again. "You really got it. This is your lucky chance." Dongli Qingqing breathed a sigh of relief. Then she stared at Du Xiaofu and said in a reproachful tone, "Next time, don't do things that you are not sure of. This time, you almost lost your life. Do you know that? Aren't I still fine?" Du Xiaofu came to the side of the girl in front of him and grabbed her hands. Her hands were smooth and slender like jade glass. They were as smooth as mutton fat. He said softly, "You are my woman. If I can't even take care of you, I will be useless if I am alive." "Who is your woman? You have a glib tongue. What have you learned over the years?" Dongli Qingqing glared at Du Xiaofu, but her hands did not break free. A faint blush crept up her cheeks, adding a hint of charm to her shyness. She was like a fairy who had fallen into the mortal world and was reluctant to leave. In the past, I didn't understand feelings. Now, I still don't dare to say that I understand. But we have already experienced life and death. We have gone through trials and tribulations together. This time, you and I meet again. It is fate. I don't know when you will leave. I just want to tell you that you are in my heart, just like family." Du Xiaofu looked at the girl in front of him and said seriously, "If you treat me wholeheartedly, I will not forget you for the rest of my life." Looking at the purple-robed young man's resolute face, Dongli Qingqing's eyes rippled under his clear gaze. Her body trembled slightly, her heart beat faster, and her face became redder. "How much of your glib tongue should I believe?" Dongli Qingqing bit her teeth and said. She looked at Du Xiaofu with her rippling eyes. 10%. I, Du Xiaofu, swear that if I let you down one day, I will definitely be shot by 10,000 arrows. You are not allowed to swear. It is inauspicious. Dongli Qingqing broke free from Du Xiaofu's hand and pressed it against Du Xiaofu's mouth. She smiled slightly and said, "I will believe you." Du Xiaofu held the slender hand that was holding the corner of his lips and gently placed it on his cheek, smiling happily. "Okay, we have already been delayed for 4 days. There seems to be a special seal in the space here. The situation outside should be rather complicated right now. We should go find little Qing and the others," said Dongli Qingqing. Du Xiaofu's expression changed slightly when little Qing and the others were mentioned. He said, "This is the breeding ground of the silver net soul-devouring lightning. It is difficult for outsiders to enter. Du Xiaoyao should be able to enter, but they didn't come to find me. I'm afraid that some trouble has really happened." Swish, swish, a moment later, 2 figures flew out of that space and appeared in midair. After looking around, they flew across the sky and left. The empty space was a mess. It was obvious that a great battle had taken place. White arcs of lightning occasionally flashed, and there were traces of lightning. Swish, swish. Dozens of figures descended upon the place. Waves of abnormally powerful auras rippled endlessly. Among the dozens of figures, most of them were dressed in black. Only their eyes could be seen outside the hood of their black robes. They were flickering with a sharp light, like ghosts. The first was a yellow-robed old man. His deep eyes seemed to be flickering with lightning, which was particularly eye-catching in the dark space. If Du Xiaofu was here, he would definitely recognize that this was an old acquaintance. It was the Inlay elder of the devil religion. Deputy Envoy, the silver-net soul-devouring lightning, has disappeared. From the life plate, all of our people who suppressed the silver-net soul-devouring lightning have been killed. A black-robed man looked around and then returned to the Inlay elder and said respectfully, "Whoosh!" The Inlay elder's face was gloomy. A turbulent wave swept out from his body with faint arcs of lightning. Then his breathing stabilized, a sharp aura fluctuated, and a chill suddenly surged out from his eyes. He said, "The aura of the golden-winged rock. Du Xiaofu appeared nearby a few days ago. It must be Du Xiaofu's doing. Find him. This time, we must pay any price to find him. Use the thunder-seeking talisman. If the silver-net soul-devouring lightning has been obtained by Du Xiaofu, you will definitely be able to find him." At night, the moon was dark and the stars were bright. Under the faint moonlight, a dark canyon was illuminated by the faint moonlight. The surroundings were hazy. An elf-like woman stood on a rock in the canyon. She looked dreamy, like a fairy goddess in the moonlight. The Tianhuang mainland is vast, and there are mysterious ancient formations left behind from ancient times. This is a barren land that not many people have set foot on. There are countless treasures, mysterious bones, and natural treasures hidden here. It is also rumored that a supreme expert once passed by the Tianhuang mainland and scattered many treasures. In the canyon, an old man who looked to be in his 50s was hurriedly explaining everything about the Tianhuang mainland. The old man was dressed in a plain robe. He had the cultivation aura of a martial emperor at the peak of the Nirvana realm. His deep eyes were looking at a purple-robed young man in front of him from time to time. His eyes were filled with wariness and fear, afraid that he would accidentally offend him. "Can you get to the point? Tell me if anything special has happened on the Tianhuang mainland recently." The purple-robed young man was naturally Du Xiaofu. After obtaining the silver-net soul-devouring lightning and breaking through, the whereabouts of Du Xiaoyao and Du Xiaoqing were also unknown. In order to find out about the recent situation on the Tianhuang mainland as soon as possible, Du Xiaofu had no choice but to capture an itinerant cultivator passing by to ask about the situation and see if he could find out some information. "Something special." The old man nodded. The old man immediately nodded. While thinking, he said, "The signs of the divine Thunder Mansion have alarmed all the forces in the 9 states to come and investigate." The divine Thunder Heavenly Sage was one of the top experts in the world back then. What he left behind was enough to affect the entire structure of the 9 states. Now, on the Tianhuang mainland, there are endless disputes and grudges. Among the younger generation, there are also countless famous figures. Some of the younger generation are already not inferior to some of the experts of the older generation, especially the current 13 godly heroes. It is said that they are the strongest and most popular figures in the fight for the divine Thunder Mansion this time. Chapter 1069. What are the 13 outstanding heroes? Du Xiaofu, who had originally wanted to find out more about Du Xiaoqing, Du Xiaoyao and his drunkard father, was now curious about the 13 outstanding heroes. Hearing that the purple-robed young man before him was interested, the old man immediately became more enthusiastic. The 13 outstanding heroes are the titles given to 13 people of the younger generation in the entire Tianhuang mainland. There are a total of 13 of them, and they are the absolute peak existences of the younger generation above Kyushu. Who are the strongest of the younger generation above Kyushu? Du Xiaofu became more and more curious. They are Bailey Wia of the Golden Spear sect in Ningzhou, Mu Jianqin of the Seimin Sword sect in Shangzhou, Mu Qingge of the Thunder Fortress in Leizhou, Hua Zimo of the 100 Flowers Gate in Wanzhou, Feng Wuxi of the Snow City in Yuzhou, Yujing Tongxian of the Heavenly Music sect in Yunzhou, Lian Wushang of the Holy Flame sect in Lanzhou, Dongli Chihuang of the Great Luan sect in Central Zhou, Demon King Du Xiaofu, Su Mayan of the Misty Clouds, Qin Devil Shangguan Qixuan, and the Last two are the ninth prince of the dragons, Dragon 9, and Huang Linger of the Phoenix race. The old man's eyes were filled with shock as he spoke. After he finished speaking in one breath, he paused for a moment before continuing. Among these 13 people, it is said that the strongest should be Dragon 9 of the dragons and Huang Linger of the Phoenix race. They are publicly acknowledged as the two strongest people. The most ferocious is the Demon King, Du Xiaofu. It is said that this person has the back of a tiger and the waist of a bear and has fangs in his mouth. He is vicious and merciless and likes to eat the flesh of demon beasts the most. He also seems to be related to the ancient heaven sect in central Zhou. The most mysterious ones are Su Mayan of the misty clouds and the Qin devil Shangguan Qixin. They are very mysterious, but their strength is indeed terrifying. A mouth full of fangs, a back of a tiger, and a waist of a bear. This, Du Xiaofu smiled. He didn't expect himself to be as terrifying as the rumors said. Then his expression changed slightly. He didn't expect Dongli Qihuang from the Great Luan sect to be among them. That guy was an expert from the Great Luan sect who was reincarnated using the reincarnation secret technique. His cultivation speed was definitely extremely fast. Hearing the rumors about the Demon King, Du Xiaofu, Dongli Qingqing couldn't help but smile. The 13 godly heroes are only people in the current Tianhuang mainland. They are ranked based on the strength and reputation of the 13 people. Currently, there are even many demon beast cubs with ancient bloodlines in the beast region. It is said that not long ago a yellow-striped heaven-shaking tiger was eaten alive by the Demon King, Du Xiaofu. The strength of that yellow-striped, heaven-shaking tiger shouldn't be any weaker than some of the 13 godly heroes. Perhaps, other than the 13 godly heroes, there are still some younger generation who are hiding their strength. However, their strength might not be any weaker than the 13 godly heroes. They only need to fight once, and their names will spread throughout Kyushu. The old man continued. He had cultivated for hundreds of years, and was only at the nirvana realm of the martial emperor realm. Thinking about those younger generation who are already law-abiding cultivators at such a young age, it was definitely infuriating. That kind of talent was something that he couldn't compare to. Is there any news about Du Tingxian recently? Du Xiaofu asked directly. Du Tingxian, there seems to be news about him. It is said that not long ago, Du Tingxian was discovered near Thunder Rolling Mountain. After a big battle, he killed many people. It is said that he was also heavily injured and disappeared after that. The old man immediately said, "Thunder Rolling Mountain." Hearing this, Du Xiaofu's eyes trembled and his heart tightened. There was finally news about his drunkard father, but it didn't seem optimistic. Is there any other special news? Du Xiaofu asked. He asked the old man about Du Xiaoqing and the others. He described Du Xiaoyao and Du Xiaoqing's appearances and tried to find out more about them. No, I haven't heard of them. The old man shook his head. He had never heard of them. Are we going to Thunder Rolling Mountain now? Dongli Qingqing came to Du Xiaofu's side. The hazy moonlight shrouded them, making them untainted by smoke and fire. She heard the old man say that Du Tingxian had appeared at Thunder Rolling Mountain and was heavily injured. She knew that Du Xiaofu would be worried. Yes, let's go to Thunder Rolling Mountain first. Du Xiaofu nodded to Dongli Qingqing. Now that there was news about his drunkard father, they naturally had to rush over first. As for Du Xiaoyao and Du Xiaoqing, they could only inquire about them along the way. Not good! They're experts! Suddenly, almost at the same time, as Du Xiaofu's voice fell, Dongli Qingqing and Du Xiaofu's eyes trembled at the same time. Both of them looked at the top of the canyon at the same time. Demon King Du Xiaofu, there shouldn't be any mistake, right? It's really not easy to find you. A clear and somewhat enticing voice came from the top of the canyon. As the last word fell, a reddish-purple figure appeared in front of the three of them. It was a young man who looked to be in his late 20s. He had a smooth and fair face and a well-defined outline. The reddish-purple satin on his body made him appear elegant. At this moment, under the moonlight, a faint purple glow was reflected, making him look very beautiful, especially under his long and curved eyelashes. There was a pair of eyes that were as clear as morning dew, carrying a faint charm. The charm in this man's eyes was not only able to charm all women, it even caused the hearts of men to fluctuate when they looked at him. What a powerful aura! He's a spirit, symbol master. He's not below second martial uncle. An 8-star Nirvana stage spirit, symbol master. At this moment, Du Xiaofu was astonished by the invisible aura on the young man's body. That aura made Du Xiaofu feel that it was not inferior to the aura of his second martial aunt, Fairy Yu. That was a terrifying spirit talisman master expert. From the looks of it, that youth was definitely not as young as his current appearance. That was a terrifying super expert. Du Xiaofu did not know if he was an enemy or a friend. We seem to be in some trouble. Dongli Qingqing gently approached Du Xiaofu. She also felt the aura on the young man's body. Her delicate face had an unprecedented, solemn expression. At this moment, the old man's body was already trembling under that invisible aura. His soul and profound energy were both solidifying. The old man's gaze was even more shocked. He seemed to have already heard who the purple-robed young man was. Du Xiaofu, Demon King Du Xiaofu. It turned out that the purple-robed young man who had captured him to ask for information was actually the incomparably ferocious Demon King in the rumors. He did not have 3 heads and 6 arms, a tiger's back, a bear's waist, and fangs in his mouth, like in the rumors. Instead, he was extremely resolute and handsome. "Who are you? Why are you looking for me?" Du Xiaofu asked. His gaze was vigilant. An expert of this level was definitely a terrifying existence. "It has nothing to do with others. You killed my people. I just want you to pay a price. It doesn't need to be too much. 1 life is enough," the young man said to Du Xiaofu. His voice was calm as his gaze swept across the 3 people. His hair was tied up high, and his long hair flowed down his back like flowing water. Then he looked at Dongli Qingqing and smiled, saying, "This beauty is not bad. Her aura is also extraordinary. She suits my taste. Why don't you come with me when the time comes? Your companion is about to die." The young man's smile seemed to have a kind of beauty that was not differentiated by gender. It had a soul-stirring charm. However, at this moment, Du Xiaofu, Dongli Qingqing, and the old man all felt a terrifying chill. They could not help but shiver. "Run." Without any hesitation, Du Xiaofu's voice rang in Dongli Qingqing's ears. His figure immediately flew to the back. At the same time, golden light erupted from his back. The golden rock wings were activated, and a terrifying pressure rippled out. It was as if the real rock wings were flapping and flying away. Whoosh! Almost at the same time, Dongli Qingqing was also prepared to retreat. Green light erupted as she quickly left. Seeing the aura emitted from Du Xiaofu and Dongli Qingqing, a trace of astonishment flashed across the young man's eyes. Boom! However, at this moment, a surge of profound qi energy suddenly erupted from the young man's body. With a clench of his hand, spatial ripples rapidly surged in front of him. Dazzling, mysterious runes spread out, and an invisible illusory claw print suddenly formed in the air. After which, the claw print directly pressed down on Du Xiaofu's back. As the claw print pressed down, Du Xiaofu immediately felt the entire space behind him freeze. That terrifying force swept down. His body felt like it was being crushed by 1,000,000 pounds of force. Even the golden rock wings were blocked. Woo! Du Xiaofu was already prepared. Escaping in front of such a super expert was definitely not a simple matter. A ray of light shot out, accompanied by a ghostly howl. Yun Mu had acted and directly blocked the terrifying claw print. Chapter 1070. What an extraordinary puppet. Is it related to Celestial Artifact Sect? The charming youth's voice still carried a kind of charm. His claw landed and exploded with dazzling runes, distorting space and directly slapping the cloud beast down. causing it to fall from the sky into the canyon. The youth's figure once again crossed space and appeared in front of Du Xiaofu like a ghost. He raised his dark purple sleeve slightly, and another claw mark pierced through space and appeared in front of Du Xiaofu. Clear demon, subduing arrow. Behind Du Xiaofu, Dongli Qingqing's ancient bow appeared in her hands. She drew the bow and released 3 arrows in a row. The 3 energy arrows pierced through space and left behind 3 long spatial scars. Accompanied by a terrifying and mysterious aura, they instantly blocked the youth's claw mark. The charming youth's eyebrows rose abruptly when the 3 light arrows shot out. Beauty, you don't seem to be simple. It looks like I have an unexpected gain today. Follow me from now on. Then the charming youth's eyes had a smile and that genderless beauty. His claw mark changed, and with a shake of his hand, it turned into a runic palm mark. It distorted the air, and a dazzling light fell like the moon. Bare naked! The charming young man used his tyrannical cultivation base to destroy the 3 light arrows of Dong Li and Qing Qing into broken rune fragments. Boom, boom, boom! Terrifying energy swept out, and the canyon below collapsed continuously, stone fragments flying everywhere. Uft! Dongli Qingqing opened her mouth and spat out blood. Her body, which had not fully recovered from her injuries, was shaken back in midair. Beauty, don't get hurt. I can't bear to do that. The charming youth spoke, his eyes looking at Dongli Qingqing. The expression in his eyes was as if she was already his exclusive property, and he would not allow anyone to taint her. His figure seemed to have given up on Du Xiaofu and directly rushed towards Dongli Qingqing. Hum! Wind and thunder resounded. In front of Du Xiaofu, purple gold light filled the sky. A broadsword with tiger bones and dragon bones appeared in his hand. It was like a phoenix facing the sun, like a divine turtle crouching on the ground. Swish! Du Xiaofu quickly slashed out with his sword without any fancy moves. It was just a simple slash. A purple gold sword ray shot out. Wherever the sword ray passed, the space seemed to collapse, revealing a vacuum. Within this sword light, a domineering aura that made people tremble violently spread out, causing the entire space to tremble violently. The bewitching young man, who was originally unmoved, also turned his head at this moment. His eyes contained a somewhat surprised expression. What a powerful divine weapon! What a domineering sword will! Despite having the cultivation of a nirvana marshal revered, he possesses such strength. My men did not die in vain. The bewitching young man opened his mouth. Without any hesitation, a flowing light symbol shot out from his palm and swiftly collided with the purple gold sword glow that had spread in front of him. Voila! In such a collision, there was no muffled sound like thunder. There was only the terrifying energy that turned into ripples of qi and runes that suddenly swept out in the void like a tsunami. Monstrous energy instantly erupted and swept out in all directions. Accompanied by the shattering of countless sword lights, a large part of the canyon below was destroyed. Bang! The speed was too fast. It was so fast that Du Xiaofu did not have time to react. A palm print gently landed on his chest. A handsome face that was so beautiful that one could not tell its gender appeared in front of him. A low muffled sound suddenly came from his chest. Uft! A huge force swept out and surged into his chest. It was as if it wanted to destroy his internal organs. As his qi and blood surged, Du Xiaofu spat out a mouthful of pale golden blood. His body was directly shaken and sent flying. After a few dozen feet, the golden wings on his back flapped. Du Xiaofu stabilized his body. His face had turned pale, and his golden eyes were filled with seriousness. Woo! It was also at this moment that Yun Mu, who had just fallen, soared into the sky again. Yun Mu, whose terrifying defense was enough to render an ordinary chaotic element revered, martial, revered powerless, did not suffer much damage from the charming young man's attack. As his body soared into the sky, He pounced towards the charming young man. "Let's go." At the same time, Du Xiaofu's figure appeared beside Dong Liqingqing, who had just stabilized herself. He grabbed Dong Liqingqing's hand, and the golden-winged, great roc flapped its wings and quickly flew away. Facing such a terrifying expert, Du Xiaofu knew that he could only escape. In front of such an expert, he did not even have the chance to fight with his life on the line. There were simply too many enemies. Du Xiaofu did not even know who the other party was. This puppet is a bit of a hindrance. The charming man frowned slightly, and there was slight anger on his face. Profound energy surged explosively within his body, and then it transformed into an enormous and fierce, profound energy palm that flashed out. It was accompanied by vast pressure as it suddenly collided with Yun Mu's fist. Crack, crack! The huge impact caused the void to tremble endlessly, as if it was about to shatter the heavens. The talisman arrays and runes on Yun Mu's body shattered, and cracks appeared on his metallic body as he was forced to retreat. After forcing Yun Mu to retreat, the charming young man did not immediately chase after Du Xiaofu and Dong Liqingqing. Instead, he looked forward with his hands behind his back. His dark purple satin robe fluttered in the wind, and his hair fluttered gently. At this moment, Du Xiaofu, who had just fled with Dong Liqingqing, was retreating. Du Xiaofu and Dong Liqingqing both looked forward. Dozens of figures with fierce and powerful auras formed a semicircle and surrounded them. Their auras sealed the void, and they could only retreat. There were many black-clothed people. Only their eyes were exposed, and they were suffused with a frightening cold light. The leader was an old man in a yellow robe. His eyes flickered with lightning under the moonlight. An extremely powerful aura was released, and the coldness in his eyes was terrifying as he locked onto Du Xiaofu. Devil religion, old man, Yin Thunder. Du Xiaofu bit the corner of his lips that were stained with faint golden blood as he stared at the dozens of experts and old man Yin Thunder. We seem to be in trouble. Dong Liqingqing bit her red lips with her silver teeth. Her expression was extremely serious. The hand that was held by Du Xiaofu was also tightly grasping Du Xiaofu's hand. Her eyes seemed to be filled with determination. Not necessarily. Maybe it's a good thing. The people of devil religion have appeared at this time. Judging from their lineup, they seem to have been prepared. Maybe it has something to do with the silvernet soul-devouring lightning. Du Xiaofu's lips curved into a cold smile as he whispered to Dong Liqingqing. His face suddenly turned 180 degrees, and a smile appeared on his face. He turned around and pulled Dong Liqingqing towards the charming young man. He opened his mouth and said happily, "Senior brother, our plan succeeded. The silvernet soul-devouring lightning has indeed attracted them." Hearing this, the charming young man was stunned when he saw Du Xiaofu's malicious smile. At this time, the dozens of experts that appeared in front of him, especially the aura of the old man in the yellow robe, made the charming young man's eyes move slightly. "The silvernet soul-devouring lightning is indeed in your hands. Kill them. Don't let any of them go." Old man Yin Thunder's eyes flashed with a sinister light as he shouted coldly. Lightning flashed in his eyes. No matter what, he would not let Du Xiaofu go today. Boom! As soon as old man Yin Thunder's voice fell, dozens of experts of devil religion moved. Their aura burst out, and they directly pounced on Du Xiaofu and Dong Liqingqing. The terrifying aura made the void tremble, dominating sword way. Sky-shaking wings. Du Xiaofu slashed out with his sword. The golden wings on his back flapped. Purple gold, sword radiance, and golden talisman mystic inscriptions burst out, shaking a large area of space behind him. Du Xiaofu took the opportunity to rush towards the charming young man. Break. Old man Yin Thunder took action personally. His figure crossed the space. With a sweep of his sleeve, he destroyed Du Xiaofu's sword radiance and sky-shaking wings. Du Xiaofu and Dong Liqingqing rushed to the charming young man not far away. They looked at him and said with a smile, "Senior brother, they have arrived." I'll leave the rest to you. Old man Ian Thunder noticed the charming young man and felt his aura. He paused for a moment. I have nothing to do with them. I just want this kid's life. Since you want his life too, I'll leave it to you. But you have to leave the girl to me. What do you think? The charming young man looked at old man Ian Thunder and said with a faint smile, Okay, I'll leave the girl to you. Du Xiaofu is mine. Old man Ian Thunder hesitated. He felt the aura of the charming young man and finally nodded gloomily. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's smiling face suddenly froze. Kid, you're too young to play tricks with me. I don't care who kills you in the end. The charming young man stared at Du Xiaofu as a faint smile of victory appeared in his clear, dew-like eyes. Du Xiaofu's little tricks couldn't escape his eyes. How could he fall for it? Chapter 1071. Du Xiaofu looked around. He could only smile bitterly as he looked at the figures with powerful auras. The charming young man seemed to be more difficult to deal with than he had imagined. Kid, no one will be able to save you today. The enlightening old man's expression was gloomy as his eyes locked onto Du Xiaofu. Lightning aura fluctuated within his eyes as a thunderbolt rushed out from his palm. It was accompanied by a heart-palpitating destructive aura that surged into the sky, causing the entire space to tremble. The thunderbolt swept towards Du Xiaofu in the next instant. His first target was Du Xiaofu. Xiaoyang Seal. Du Xiaofu was naturally aware of the Ian Thunder old man's strength. His face turned gloomy as he pushed Dongli Qingqing away. A golden palm print broke through the air. Boom! The palm print collided with the thunderbolt. Terrifying electric arcs and golden energy ripples surged out in all directions. The ground of the mountain within a few thousand meters was blasted apart by the energy shock waves, causing turbulent waves to form in the space. Boom! Boom! Terrifying electric arcs swept out as Du Xiaofu staggered and retreated dozens of feet. Uffed! The profound qi in Du Xiaofu's body churned under the energy shock waves. A muffled sound was emitted from his throat as he spat out pale, golden blood again. Although the lightning martial vein in his body could absorb the power of the electric arcs, Du Xiaofu was clearly at a disadvantage from the Ian Thunder old man's attack. The Ian Thunder old man was too powerful. He was an expert comparable to Amethyst Venerable. The difference in their strength was too great. Du Xiaofu was helpless. He has reached the Nirvana Martial Venerable level. The Ian Thunder old man was shocked. Du Xiaofu was not a Martial Venerable not long ago. However, he had reached the Nirvana Martial Venerable level in such a short period of time. He had miscalculated when he attacked just now. This kind of terrifying breakthrough speed shocked the Ian Thunder old man. If this continued, it wouldn't be long before Du Xiaofu had the strength to match his cultivation. This terrifying growth speed made the Ian Thunder elder feel a lingering fear. How are you? Dongli Qingqing's graceful figure swept through the air and instantly appeared beside Du Xiaofu, who had been knocked back. If you don't leave, I might be able to escape. Don't worry about me. Du Xiaofu laughed bitterly. He held the purple gold heavenly fault in one hand and wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth with the other. His gaze was extremely serious. At this moment, they were already in a desperate situation. Du Xiaofu knew that even if he did his best, it would be useless. The purple thunder profound cauldron and the ancient desolate space would not be able to solve this problem. If you were me, would you leave? Dongli Qingqing looked at the pale young man in front of her and then looked around. Her gaze swept past the charming young man and the Ian Thunder elder. There were many mysterious black-clothed people around, all of whom had the aura of perfection and transcendence. She opened her pale lips slightly and said softly, "Besides, do you really think I can escape? This time, I've dragged you into this." Looking at the woman in front of him, Du Xiaofu smiled bitterly, but the smile at the corner of his mouth was obviously a bit cruel. It was all because he wasn't strong enough. Facing the Een Thunder Elder and the charming young man, he couldn't even resist. Du Xiaofu yearned for strength, but compared to those cultivators who had cultivated for hundreds or even thousands of years, he was still far behind. He needed time to cultivate. Dongli Qingqing looked at the young man in front of her and took out a soft, light-colored handkerchief. She gently wiped the faint, golden blood in his mouth and said in a reproachful tone, "I'm actually a bit angry. Next time, don't push me away. Even if we're going to die, let's die together." Du Xiaofu nodded and gently brushed away a strand of hair on the woman's forehead. His golden eyes were filled with a smile. He said softly, "Okay, even if we're going to die, let's die together." Not far away, the charming young man was still standing with his hands behind his back. He looked at the purple-robed young man and the fairy-like woman. Something seemed to be surging in the depths of his dewy eyes. He muttered softly, "In this world, there are really lovers who can't tell life and death apart. We've been through life and death together more than once. This time, of course, we'll be fine." Dongli Qingqing said softly. Her eyes were no longer as solemn as before. She transmitted her voice to Du Xiaofu's ears and said, "Xiaofu, leave everything to me. Listen to me. We'll definitely be able to escape this calamity." Du Xiaofu looked at Dongli Qingqing when he heard this. His eyes were filled with doubt. "You're about to die, yet you're still whispering sweet nothings. Once you fall into my hands, I'll definitely make you beg for death." The Lightning old man could no longer hold back. As soon as he finished speaking, he stomped his foot and shot towards Du Xiaofu. The profound qi in his body surged. Several bolts of lightning energy shot out and formed an extremely domineering attack that engulfed Du Xiaofu from all directions. The experts from the devil religion hovered in the air and sealed off the surrounding space. Now that another person had come to deal with Du Xiaofu, there would naturally be no problem. There was no need for them to interfere. At this moment, no one noticed that energy ripples had begun to appear behind the charming young man who stood with his hands behind his back. Formation flags were faintly condensing. Suddenly, the charming young man's eyes trembled as he stared at Dongli Qingqing. Just as the Lightning old man was about to devour her, a dazzling rune suddenly spread out in front of Dongli Qingqing. An extremely terrifying pressure immediately spread across the night sky. "My disciple isn't someone you can touch." Just as the lightning energy was about to engulf Du Xiaofu, a sharp voice suddenly rang out in the night sky. Shortly after, a figure slowly stepped out in front of Dongli Qingqing and floated in the air. As the figure stepped out of the space, the world seemed to have truly solidified. The energy of the world seemed to have come to a standstill. This sudden change naturally attracted everyone's attention. Even the Lightning old man's body paused. His heart immediately sank. Du Xiaofu was shocked as well. Afterwards, he saw an old woman who seemed to be in her 50s hovering in the air. Her back was slightly hunched, and her hair was mottled with white hair. She seemed rather old. "It's her!" Du Xiaofu still remembered the old woman. He had seen her in the barbaric Beast Mountain range before. She had fought with the beautiful woman who had kidnapped him. Du Xiaofu still remembered the battle between the two terrifying experts. He could only look up to them with envy. He had secretly gritted his teeth and vowed that one day he would definitely become such an expert. He would be able to do whatever he wanted in the world. However, Du Xiaofu's eyes flickered as he looked at the old woman. He seemed to sense something amiss. The old woman's figure seemed to be the same as the martial domain realm expert who had attacked the 7-star hull. It seemed to be an illusory body, but it also didn't seem to be. Du Xiaofu was certain that this was definitely not the old woman's original body. The old woman's figure appeared. She glanced indifferently at the thunderbolt attack that had attacked Du Xiaofu and softly said, "You are still a little lacking at the half-domain level. Your understanding of the lightning intent is also far from enough. You dare to touch my disciple with such a cultivation level? You are courting death." With that, the old woman shook her sleeve and a terrifying energy immediately gathered at lightning speed. With a rune in her palm, it formed a spinning energy vortex in front of her and destroyed the lightning old man's attack. Whoosh! Afterwards, a slightly old hand pierced through space and landed on the lightning old man's face. Slap! The hand landed on the lightning old man's face with a crisp slap. Half of his face immediately swelled up. Teeth and blood flew out of his mouth. His body was sent flying. He couldn't resist at all. Oh no! The charming young man's expression changed. The dark purple figure didn't stop. He tore a spatial rift in front of him and rushed into it. You'll have to pay the price if you want to leave. The old woman raised her eyes and a rune shot out. In the blink of an eye, it hit the spatial rift behind the charming young man. Voila! When the two collided, it was as if space had cracked open. An overwhelming amount of energy scattered. Humph! There was a bloody mist and a muffled groan in the shattered space. However, the charming young man had disappeared. He had escaped. The old woman did not stop. With a gentle wave of her hand, the space and the surroundings immediately froze. Even the stars in the sky seemed like they were about to be swallowed up. All the energy in the surroundings gathered before the old woman. Leave quickly. The lightning old man got up in a sorry state. Blood dripped from his mouth. Half of his face was swollen. His eyes were filled with shock. He shouted for all the members of the devil religion to leave. Seeing the lightning old man sent flying with a slap, the remaining disciples of the devil religion were terrified. They didn't dare to stay and immediately fled. You dare touch my disciple? Don't even think about leaving. All of you die. The old woman's eyes surged with coldness. Her back was slightly hunched and her body was mottled with white hair. At this moment, she seemed to be in control of the world. The surrounding space trembled. Dazzling runes appeared in the distance and swept over from all directions. They suddenly enveloped all the members of the devil religion who were about to escape. The terrifying energy could freeze space, causing everyone's profound energy, meridians, souls, and primordial spirits to be imprisoned. It was a feeling of helplessness. Those who were the weakest immediately let out miserable shrieks. The screams were extremely miserable. The weaker members of the devil religion were crushed by the invisible pressure in midair. Puff, puff, puff. The ones with the strongest strength also spat out mouthfuls of blood. The severely injured lightning old man's face was ferocious. Veins popped out all over his body. Crack, crack. The lightning rune light shield on the thunder elder's body cracked under the invisible spatial pressure, and blood spurted out of his mouth. Chapter 1072. I didn't expect such an expert to descend on Tianhuang mainland. Suddenly, an indifferent and dignified voice sounded in the sky. At the same time, a strange bolt of lightning spread out from the frozen space above the thunder old man and the others. It could actually break through the frozen space and descend. Chi-la-la, a figure appeared, and a terrifying pressure spread out with a destructive and domineering aura. This person was wrapped in lightning, and the lightning around him flashed like silver snakes, enveloping his entire body. It was so bright that one couldn't see his face clearly. As this person appeared, the energy of heaven and earth fluctuated, and it began to break the terrifying pressure in the surroundings. An overwhelming electric arc spread into the distance. Uffed, puffed, the thunder old man and the others spat out blood and survived, but only half of the dozens of devil religion experts were left. Who are you? How dare you interfere with the matters of our devil religion? The lightning figure looked at the old woman's figure in the sky and said in a dignified voice, Devil religion. So you guys still haven't given up. The old woman's eyes moved as she looked at the lightning figure. Her aura became even sharper as she said, The demonic sect can only use this to scare others, but it doesn't have much effect on this old woman. Not to mention that your demon masters don't dare to come out casually. Even if they do, I'm afraid they won't be able to take advantage of me. How arrogant. Do you think you can stop the devil religion in front of me with just the power of an essence spirit? As for your true body, if you dare to continue to stop my religion, someone will deal with you." As soon as the lightning figure finished speaking, he formed a hand seal, and lightning intertwined. Immediately, lightning runes filled the sky, turning into a destructive electric arc that swept toward the old woman. The old woman's expression was fierce. She waved her hand, and a dazzling rune energy spread out from heaven and earth. Rumble. The attack of the two was too terrifying. It seemed to have formed a resonance with heaven and earth, and the rumbling of the Tao was accompanied by the power of heaven and earth. The fight between the two super experts caused the surrounding space to become chaotic, and pitch-black spatial cracks spread out. Crack, crack. The mountain range below was already in a mess, and the ground cracked again. Gullies continued to spread out like an abyss. If my true body was here, it would be easy to kill you. Suddenly, the old woman who was fighting fiercely, her slightly hunched body, gradually became illusory for some reason, and her body gradually disappeared in the dazzling runes. Thump, thump. The lightning figure kept retreating, and it took a few steps to stabilize himself. Where is the silver soul devouring thunder? When all the terrifying commotion in the surroundings gradually calmed down, the lightning figure looked at the Thunder old man, who looked extremely miserable. Lord Messengers, the old woman's, the old soul devouring lord, the devouring silver thunder, do s's. He, do. The Thunder old man scanned his surroundings. Only then did he realize that Du Xiaofu and the woman had disappeared without him noticing. A bunch of trash. If anything happens to the silver soul devouring thunder, you know the consequences. The lightning figure's aura fluctuated, and it said in a stern voice, "It's not convenient for me to show myself in Tianhuang mainland now. That person was only a wisp of the power of the primordial spirit, so it's impossible for his true body to arrive here in a short period of time. Find him. You must bring Du Xiaofu back, or you won't be able to return." "Yes, Lord Messenger." The Thunder old man and the others nodded with trembling eyes. Then they immediately scattered in all directions to find Du Xiaofu with their heavily injured bodies. Swoosh, swoosh. Then they left one after another, and the lightning figure disappeared too. Crack, crack. After a long time, when there was no more commotion in the surroundings, the old man who had been captured by Du Xiaofu to gather information crawled out from the pile of rubble. The old man's eyes were dull, and his face was pale. After a long time he came back to his senses and murmured, "I've just taken a trip to the gates of hell. This is not a place where ordinary people can come to. I'd better leave as soon as possible." Whoosh! In the calm night sky, Du Xiaofu's great rock wings flapped, and he quickly streaked across the sky. His wings were pushed to the extreme, and together with the unfettered steps, he left at a speed as if he was teleporting. The golden wings whistled with the sound of wind and thunder, almost turning into a golden stream of light. Du Xiaofu's figure fled quickly. Dongli Qingqing was pulled into Du Xiaofu's arms and said, "That's the power of my master's primordial spirit. It's a trump card that I can only use when I encounter a great danger in Tianhuang mainland. It can resist those below the martial domain realm, but I'm afraid it won't last long. We have to leave as soon as possible." After a few hours, dawn gradually appeared in front of them. Du Xiaofu was already severely injured, and at this moment he also felt that he couldn't take it anymore after exhausting his qi to escape. Qi. Sensing that the devil religion and the charming young man should have been blocked by Dongli Qingqing's master, Du Xiaofu's figure landed under a hidden cliff covered by rocks. "We need to recuperate." The great rock wings on his back were withdrawn. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's face was pale, and there was a gloomy look on his resolute and determined face. At this moment, Du Xiaofu didn't feel much joy from escaping a hopeless situation, only the desire for strength in his heart. Absolute strength was the way to solve all problems. They should have been blocked by my master's primordial spirit power and may have been completely eliminated. Dongli Qingqing said. After using the power of her master's primordial spirit, she immediately left the battlefield with Du Xiaofu. So at this moment, she didn't know the final situation. Let's find a place to recuperate first. Du Xiaofu said, as long as they entered the purple thunder profound cauldron, they wouldn't be afraid of being discovered by ordinary people. The most important thing now was to recover their peak strength, qi. As Du Xiaofu's voice fell, the space above the cliff suddenly distorted, and a terrifying energy spread above their heads. Be careful! Du Xiaofu had just opened his mouth when his shoulders suddenly sank, and a dazzling energy pillar fell like a thunderbolt. Puff! A huge force rushed into the end, and Du Xiaofu's body immediately sank into the rock on the ground, and a large mouthful of pale golden blood spurted out from his mouth. Who are you? Dongli Qingqing shouted, and a strange hand seal instantly formed her hand. At the same time, a dazzling green rune burst out from her body, and her slender hand blasted a palm print towards the sky. A deep sonic boom was emitted from the palm, and bang, bang, bang continuously sounded in the sky. Chila! A palm print fell from the sky, and with some afterimages, it caused the sky to change color. A wave of runes permeated the sky, and instantly dyed the pre-dawn sky dazzling, and then landed on Dongli Qingqing's palm print. Dang dang! Dongli Qingqing's delicate body was forced back, and the palm print in her hand was easily destroyed. Blood once again flowed from the corner of her pale lips. Bang bang! Du Xiaofu's body sank into the rock on the ground, and a domineering and terrifying golden light erupted from his body. Suddenly, the surrounding ground cracked, and the rock exploded. Du Xiaofu gently stomped his feet, and his body soared into the sky. Chapter 1073. High up in the sky above the cliff, the energy of heaven and earth gathered silently. In an instant, the entire space froze. A majestic energy enveloped the space and suppressed Du Xiaofu's figure. Du Xiaofu's eyes were sharp. Starlight suddenly spread from his golden eyes. Voila! At dawn there were still a few bright stars hanging in the sky. At this moment they seemed to be attracted as well. Streaks of starlight fell from the sky and gathered continuously. Finally, they formed a vortex around Du Xiaofu's body. A colorful vortex of starlight spun. It was as bright and dazzling as the Milky Way. The energy became more and more vigorous. It was as if all the energy in this part of the world had been forcefully drawn and devoured. It wanted to tear apart the confinement of the surrounding space. I didn't expect you to have also comprehended the mysteries of the stars. A faint voice came from above the cliff. Then a runic claw print shot out. This claw print was like a flame and carried dazzling runes. Wherever the runic claw print flew past, the space was directly distorted and compressed into an extremely obvious concave arc. In the time it took for a spark to fly off a flint, this runic claw print instantly landed on the starlight vortex with the force of a thunderbolt. Chila! Within the colorful vortex of starlight, there was the sound of space being torn apart. The entire space immediately trembled. Streaks of dazzling starlight energy spread out rapidly. The dazzling light shot out and finally scattered around the vast cliff. Bang! Du Xiaofu's body shot out from midair and crashed into the cliff. He destroyed a piece of hard rock and turned it into fine powder. Large mouthfuls of pale, golden blood flowed from his mouth. A streak of primordial spirit power can't save the two of you. That primordial spirit power should have dissipated long ago. Her voice rang out, filled with charm. As the last word faded, a purplish figure also appeared above the cliff. An aura that caused the air to solidify enveloped the surroundings. It was none other than the charming young man who had appeared before. He had returned and chased after Qin Wentian again. It's him. Du Xiaofu's gaze immediately turned extremely solemn as he gazed at the charming young man. He never expected that the person who had caught up to him would be such a terrifying expert. However, from the aura, the charming young man seemed to have suffered a serious injury. Perhaps he had suffered a great loss under the power of Dongli Qingqing's master's Yuan spirit. Is today really a tribulation? Du Xiaofu's expression was solemn. He knew that he had no chance of contending against the charming young man. Even if this charming young man was already injured and could activate the last of the purple thunder profound cauldron, it would be useless. Now that he had exhausted all his energy, whether or not he could activate the purple thunder profound cauldron was a problem. Yun Mu was also heavily injured. The talisman arrays inscribed on his body were broken, and his body was cracked. His strength was greatly reduced, and he could no longer display any strength. Do you think you can escape? The charming young man smiled and said indifferently, I left traces in my attack. No matter where you run, you won't be able to escape my detection. That streak of primordial spirit power has already dissipated. Now you don't have any more trump cards, right? I think that with your current cultivation, you haven't reached the domain realm yet. My master's primordial spirit power has dissipated, and her main body is naturally on the way here. If you dare to attack us, my master will definitely not let you off. Dongli Qingqing spoke. She looked at the charming young man, and her eyes were suffused with a green light. Hearing this, the charming young man raised his eyebrows. He was indeed extremely fearful. The old woman's primordial spirit power already possessed such terrifying strength. One could imagine how powerful her main body was. This woman had such a master, and the aura on her body was definitely extraordinary. It was very likely that there was a force behind her that he could not contend against. Ha 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 ha! Suddenly the charming young man laughed. His smile was enough to make the hearts of all the women in the world ripple. He looked at Dongli Qingqing and said, Little girl, you seem to be lacking in your ability to lie. Your master's main body probably can't reach Tianhuang mainland in a short period of time. Furthermore, not everyone can attack as they wish on Tianhuang mainland now. He paused for a moment, and the charming young man's dew-like, clear eyes shifted. He looked at Dongli Qingqing evilly and said, Besides, I only want to kill that Du Xiaofu. As for a beauty like you, I can't bear to kill you. Once you become my woman, you will naturally know how good I am. By then, you won't be able to bear to let your master kill me. I'm afraid that's not enough to take my life. Du Xiaofu crawled out from the powder of the rocks. His aura was weak, and he activated the golden rock wings on his back once again. Blood flowed from the corner of his mouth, and his smile was somewhat sinister as he stared fixedly at the charming young man. You're no match for me at all. Even if you have someone backing you, no one will know if I kill you now. No one will know that I'm the one who did it. The charming young man glanced at Du Xiaofu with a faint smile on his face. Then his gaze landed on the golden rock wings on Du Xiaofu's back. That domineering and intimidating pressure was the aura of a supreme beast. The charming young man had returned for Du Xiaofu. Originally, he had not really wanted to let go of Du Xiaofu because of the mysterious group of people. However, just as he was about to attack, the beautiful woman had exceeded his expectations and used a terrifying primordial spirit power. Under the attack of the primordial spirit power, the charming young man was severely injured and chose to retreat. However, the charming young man did not retreat too far. He knew that when the sandpiper and the clam fought, the fisherman would benefit. He also knew that the primordial spirit power could not be maintained for long. Originally, he had also left traces of his aura on Du Xiaofu's body, so it was not difficult to track him down. All of this was because the charming young man recognized the golden rock wings on Du Xiaofu's back. Those were the real golden rock wings. Also, the broadsword in Du Xiaofu's hand was a divine weapon. It was definitely a mid-grade weapon, or even a high-grade weapon. The charming young man stared at Du Xiaofu. How could he give up on the true golden wings of a great rock and that divine weapon? Even if there was a terrifying power behind this young woman, he wouldn't give up so easily. To him, if he could obtain the divine weapon and the golden rock wings, everything would be worth it. This person is very scheming. It's difficult to deal with him. Du Xiaofu frowned. This charming young man was definitely a terrifying person. Not only was his strength terrifying, but his scheming was even more terrifying. Qi. The charming young man made his move. This place was not suitable for him to stay for long. The corners of his mouth curled up into a smile as he soared through the air. In the distorted space, there was a majestic pressure that directly enveloped Du Xiaofu and Dongli Qingqing. Boom! Du Xiaofu would not allow himself to be captured without putting up a fight. He still had his meridian spirit and the thunder martial vein. He had not reached the point where he could be captured without putting up a fight. A terrifying and overbearing qi spread out as the golden rock wings enveloped him and Dongli Qingqing. It's really the real golden rock wings. It can actually fuse with humans. It seems like I have to study you first. The charming young man's eyes were filled with curiosity. At the same time, a majestic amount of runes burst out and directly crushed Du Xiaofu's golden rock wings. Bang, bang, bang. The golden light collided with each other. In the midst of the sound of the explosion, the surrounding space began to explode. Du Xiaofu's golden rock wings resisted the attack. However, under the impact of the monstrous force, a violent energy that was beyond what he could withstand surged into his body like a tidal wave. In almost an instant, his 5 viscera and 6 bowels suffered a huge impact. The terrifying energy exceeded Du Xiaofu's expectations. At this moment, Du Xiaofu realized that the charming young man's previous attack was only a test. This was his true strength. Puqi. Even with an extremely abnormal defense, it was still unable to withstand the impact of the young man's strength. Du Xiaofu directly spat out blood from his mouth. The golden rock wings had no choice but to be crushed. Dongli Qingqing, who was enveloped by the golden rock wings, had to withstand much less force than Du Xiaofu. However, dark red blood still spilled out of her mouth. At the same time, when Du Xiaofu's golden rock wings spread out, several runes and seals had already landed on the two of them. The two of them were immediately restricted and could no longer move. I've said that your strength is not enough. After the charming young man finished speaking, he grabbed Du Xiaofu and Dongli Qingqing. The aura around him distorted the void, and his figure immediately flew into the distance.